All right, y'all. Welcome to All Politics Are Local, America's number one
Number
political
one.
hip hop radio talk show. Y'all know if it's Friday, y'all know it's time for All Politics Are Local, America's number one political hip hop radio talk show. So, of course, today is the third Friday, it's supposed to be the mayor's forum, but of course, the mayor's not going to be with us today. So, we're going to talk a little bit about in the first half hour we're going to talk about the Newark Anti-Violence Coalition, one of the premier organizations, and I might say one of the premier anti-violence organizations in the country. And of course, one of the founders is going to be with us, and of course, one of the other founders, Bashir Muhammad Akinyele, who's also one of the co-founders of this show, was supposed to be on talking about that in the mayor's half hour, but of course he's unable to do the show because he's traveling with his family for vacation. So coming up first, what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring one of our brothers up, and he's gonna join us. But before that, we're gonna do the rundown, and then of course we'll come back and we'll introduce you to one of the original founders, brother True V. So Zai, you want to give them the rundown? What's coming up after the 6 o'clock hour?
Yeah, I'm also original. I'm original NAVC persons. In fact, Bashir and they were all up under me in the party. Then my troops made up the core in NAVC. So I'm looking forward to that conversation. Um, After that, at 6:30, a bevy of black women who I'm very proud of. There will be a Kawaida Towers in Newark. And guess what? It's being managed and run by and owned by and all of that, led by a group of black women known as the Heritage Company. And y'all will know some of these sisters, and some of these sisters you'll just get to know. But they're a great story and how they came to be the persons ultimately designated to take the lead of this building out of this Black Power dream come true, right? And all of that. And that's another part of this legacy that comes way before the mighty Newark Anti-Violence Coalition. To be sure, July 20th, the day that the Anti-Violence Coalition starts, is the anniversary of the epic Newark Black Power Conference of 1967 after the Newark Rebellion. Now, that's a whole other story we got to get to, right? After that, the Young Lords, Mighty Young Lord Party, lost one of their incredible pioneer founders, and Denise Oliver. Denise Oliver transitioned just on the 15th of July. That's just 2 days ago, and in the outpouring of love for who she is, was, and what all that she did and all that she gave is profuse. And I have two incredible comrades of mine that are going to lift up two sides of her. Esperanza Martell, one of my teachers and mentors, and an organizing legend in Greater New York, will lift her up, as well as Mariposa Fernandez, a sharp poet who grew up under us, right? And is now a master teacher in her own right. And she was a mentee of the great Denise Oliver. So we're going to lift up a brave warrior, new ancestor who really put in some work on the streets of New York for a whole lot of folks in a very upstanding way. And after that, there's a conversation. I mentioned the Black Power Conference. There's a group of young folks doing a conversation on the National Black Power Conference, right? Shout out to the community movement builders, the Newark chapter, right, who do stuff out of Express Newark. They're having a conversation on the meaning and significance of the National Black Power Conference tomorrow at Express Newark. We're going to see how these young ears and eyes are looking at that historic moment, a historic moment often overlooked in terms of the Black Power tradition that we should so boldly claim and be very clear on. And then we're looking for the return of the great DJ Rhino. Full night as always. Let's ride.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Indeed, my brother. So let's look to get into what's happening with True V. He was back there, but I don't see him now. So we'll wait for him to come back up.
Well, we could still talk about that history because I guess a bunch of us were a part of it.
Yeah.
Right? It was that was an ugly day, July 20th, when it was a young mother who was literally getting off work, going to pick up her children, stopped at the school, stopped at the store. This is over on Elizabeth Ave in Mika. Found herself in the crossfire of some madness that was very characteristic of these streets at that time. And this and saw her insides hit the sidewalk before she hit the sidewalk. And a young councilman, who was a son of struggle by the name of Ras Baraka, said, you know, we got to do something. We got to do something different. We can't let this just go on and not do something about what's happening. We can't let this get normal. And he called for us to start taking to the streets and shut those streets down, right? And so that day, right, which would lead to a succession of 155 straight Wednesdays of shutting down city streets in response to violence in this town. It was the nexus of what will become the Newark Anti-Violence Coalition, right? And that would be a springboard for Councilman Ras Baraka becoming Mayor Ras J. Baraka. One of the first things he did, because he had a very clear vision of how he wanted us to take this to the next stage, was to implement a full-fledged organic.
So let me ask you a question. So the NABC then could be considered, right, an actual, if you said that was the catalyst, it could be considered as a political party, as it were.
No, I wouldn't call it a party, but I would say a pioneering formation in something that is now happening in city streets all over the country that is responsible for the reduction of violent crime all over the country.
Hey, Zayed, hold on a second. True B, can you mute yourself?
True.
Can you mute yourself?
There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
He's got feedback wherever he is. I can tell he hears us, right? Yeah. No, it was a coalition. It was a formation of a bunch of us from different walks of life, educators, activists. We had a couple of clergy. We had Pastor Ali and Roundtree at that time. It was a mix of us from different backgrounds. So it was indeed a coalition, right? A party is something that has a very different character of organization, agenda, and how it's constructed. So I wouldn't call it a party, but it was a catalytic figure in the creation of what we now call community-based violence intervention, right? Let's bring True in. You want to bring him in now?
Yeah.
I think that's first. Thank you for having me, brothers. I appreciate this, and I told Bashir that I appreciate the opportunity to stand in for him for this significant moment, with respect to the NAVC. Everything that I've heard thus far, solid. I'll just say that the mayor at the time was the principal at Central High School when the call was made for Nikesha Allen's murder, vicious murder, for the people to show up on Meeker. And that was the catalyst at that moment. Us getting together, saying enough was enough, we won't tolerate anymore, and us having to do something about it as a collective of people and organizations, because it is the Newark Anti-Violence Coalition, meaning it is a coalition made up of many different organizations and people. So that's what was going on at the time. So you're right in everything else you said, and I totally agree. It's like me and Bashir was talking about a few weeks ago on the phone. We really did spark the movement, man, like in the nation, in terms of people waking back up, the awareness being raised in communities such as ours, and people that were similarly situated nationwide caught on to it by way of documentaries that went national, such as Brick City under Cory Booker, and the Newark Anti-Violence Coalition having a major presence in that particular projection nationwide. So yes, like we have a history out of this world, and thank God for the Newark Anti-Violence Coalition, because we prayed for the day that we are at now, here in the city of Newark, having the lowest murder rate in the city's history, for 50 years, since 50 years now. That's great. And we talked about having this day in 2009, 10, 11, 12, and 13 when we crisscrossed this city with the anti-violence message. And to Brother Baba Zaid's point, he's 1,000% correct. The brothers in the party were indeed core to the movement, core to the discipline, the building up of the discipline and structure of the movement. And again, this was made up of many different organizations. This was not the party. This was the party plus, if you will, plus the people, plus other organizations, right? And from there, today we are at a place where our mayor has become the mayor of this city, and he's been able to implement, establish departments in this city, such as the Office of Violence Prevention and Trauma Recovery, and the Brick City Peace Collective, right? And under the Brick City Peace Collective, there's 58 organizations all over this city that do some type of community outreach work in the field of prevention, intervention, safe passage, Narcan. We get Narcan training now for the overdose levels in our community, domestic violence training, all of the issues that are prevalent to our community. We're trying to attack them head on. And we got good people out here that are doing the good work. And the mayor is doing what he's supposed to do to push that agenda forward. And hopefully it can continue to go forward and won't be inhibited.
So well, two things you said that I want to talk about. When you talk about, you said a political party plus the people. I don't see 2B. So
right. Well, I was talking about the party, the Panther Party, the new Black Panther Party, here in New Jersey, under which Baba Zaid stood at the time, and several other members joined at the time under his leadership, and at the inception of the Newark Anti-Violence Coalition.
Mm-hmm. So can we talk about then, if you would, just to go back for a minute, who were the original founders of the Newark Anti-Violence Coalition?
So the original founders, and I could speak about this just to let you know, because I did write help to write the original bylaws that formulated the Newark Anti-Violence Coalition, right? At least in meetings and sessions and by vote at that time, I'll say. So the original founders of the Newark Anti-Violence Coalition, make no mistake about it, are Mayor Baraka, DeLacy Davis, and Dave Muhammad, and Tretch, to be perfectly honest with you. These were the four individuals who sent out the mass.
And when you say Tretch, are we talking about Tretch, the hip hop artist?
By nature, Tretch.
Huh?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Tretch from Naughty by Nature. Hey, good brothers. Hey, Ryan. Hey, let me get 2 minutes, man. I'm on the radio for y'all brothers. So yeah, Tretch. And now what they did in turn was send the call out, and the very next wave of the people to show up at the time were myself, Brother Sharif, Amenhotep, um, I believe Brother K. Boog, Brother
What was
Mitty
that?
Murdoch,
Mhm.
and Jada, Sister Jada, that was in
Yeah.
Brother Loose. And we were the co-founders because we were the one literally on Elizabeth Avenue and Meeker. We did the biggest rally in response to the murder of that sister Nakisha Allen.
Yeah.
Right. And it was me who said, I said it on the mic. It can't stop here. For those who have the footage of that event, it can't stop here. And I urged the mayor, like he wasn't the mayor, he was the principal at the time. I urged Rise, like, bro, we gotta have a meeting after this. And then we went to Central High School, convened the meeting, came up with our name. We drew our name from thanks to Donna Jackson and Cassandra Dock, who were there at the time as well.
Now
Who
Councilor
also
Donna
yeah,
Jackson.
yes, who also can be considered co-founders because they were there from. In fact, we got the name the Newark Anti-Violence Coalition from their New Jersey Anti-Violence Coalition wave that preceded us.
Yeah, actually,
So
County
they
violence.
suggested.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, so they suggested it. Yeah, they suggested it. We took the offer and said it was no Anti-Violence Coalition. We voted on that. I cleared that. We passed that hurdle. We came up with 5 demands. Demand number 1 being the declaring violence a public health issue in the city of Newark and bringing resources for that to address that issue, which is what the mayor is doing now and has been doing since his inauguration in 2014. The second demand was that the McCarthy must go because he has no comprehensive plan to address violence in our city, and that demand was met. As we can see, Newark Anti-Violence Coalition staged protests at his house. Want to let them people in or out? Yes, sir.
If you would tell us who is McCarthy, who is that?
That's Gary McCarthy, who is a guy from New York Police Department who was brought up on charges over there, even sexual charges. Hold on one second.
He was brought to
who was brought to the Newark Police Department by Cory Booker, who was the mayor at the time, and who basically saved Gary McCarthy, who based on a friendship, saved him.
And we're talking about Cory Booker, who is now Senator Booker. At the time, he was mayor of Newark.
Correct. And Gary McCarthy himself brought a wave of New York police officers over here with him and New York police style policing with him that did not correlate with the values of the Newark community, the direction that we wanted to take the community in as the people. Listen, if we got the power and people got the power, then the people get to determine the destiny of their community, not the police, not the power structure, not any other structure, the people structure. That's the bottom line. And McCarthy was anti-people structure. He demonstrated that, and that was what he brought over from New York City. And Cory Booker invited into Newark in the name of crime reduction. And what he really reduced was the police force by laying them off and all of that stuff. Go ahead.
So McCarthy at the time was chief of police?
Right.
No, McCarthy was the director of police. They had terminated the police chief's position, and that was another part of the Newark Anti-Violence Coalition's demand that they restored the police chief's position because that by them terminating the position made McCarthy as the director basically the czar of the police department. Nobody answers. Everybody answers to him. He answers to nobody. He confers with nobody. What he says goes, and that's the bottom line. And when you're we know what we know the saying: power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Well, McCarthy had absolute power in the Newark Police Department, and it corrupted him and the department absolutely under the administration of Cory Booker. That's a fact.
And so McCarthy then, as you said, when he came, he brought a cadre of other officers who came from New York. And when they came into Newark under the leadership at that time of Mayor Cory Booker, he began to promote a style of policing in Newark.
Unleashing the fury of Terry v. Ohio, stop and frisk. I mean, at the time that the mayor was canvassing, and I'm pretty sure he'll remember this like the back of his hand if you guys would have ever asked him this on the show. We were walking on Clinton Avenue in the South Ward area, and the police were literally chasing our youth into backyards, and I'm talking about putting them on the ground and disrespectful. Like, and when we saw this on our street, like we could ride up the street and see the police. I witnessed the police under that administration plucking items out of a person's butt crack, literally, and his pants are to his knees publicly. Like, listen. You do have a reasonable suspicion does give you the right to search, right? Or the probable cause to search, but the search still has to be reasonable. You still have to be free from unreasonable searches and seizures. And to have somebody's pants down to their knees publicly plucking something out of their culo in Spanish is totally. I mean, we had Governor Whitman at the time on the streets with the state trooper in Camden, frisking a black kid. You know, these types of policies are wicked. We don't want that style of policing or that type of top-down heavy policing. And that's what McCarthy brought. Everybody that he brought from New York ended up being some kind of a deputy chief, a captain, or something that was appointed, basically, in the police department and ran the show for whatever they were assigned to. And that was that.
And so underneath that kind of leadership, what stood between that was the NAVC.
Okay. You said what stood between,
and so what stood between that kind of Gestapo type police was
us. Guaranteed. Listen, the fact of the matter is this is public record, the NAVC is the reason for the 24 hours of peace in the city of Newark. The NAVC is the reason that Occupy Wall Street was invited into Newark. The NAVC is the reason for crime reduction. Listen, the police, the FBI, the DEA, the Newark police, they've been around since the slave catching days. I mean, at least the police forces, right? So violence has existed in this city preceding the North Anti-Violence Coalition, and it was going up. It was spiking. When we entered the picture, we employed the right forces, resources. The mayor drove the picture home. Look at the shift. The city can't complain about 135 murders. It's not here.
And so
it's not here.
And so, you know, we're about to run out of time. And so therefore, the NAVC is now 17 years old, right? Mm-hmm. And NAVC is an organization that you can say, was primarily the beginning organization that helped usher Mayor Baraka into his first electoral position as the councilman, and then, of course, to become mayor. Would you say that?
Absolutely. So absolutely. I mean, with all due respect to the mayor and his brothers and everyone else's physical effort that they put in as well, because I was a part of that team as well. Um, yes, the Newark Anti-Violence Coalition is the mayor's baby, and he carried his baby all over this city, and we were right there pushing the stroller with him, leading the way, leading the charge, and praying for this day that we are at now today. Yes,
So,
and
so
yes.
17 years later, take us into what's going to happen with the anniversary.
Well, this is the thing, man. Every year we try to use it as a day to get together, or a few days to get together, and bring home what we were really about, what we really stood for, our core principles, values, and like try to reset, so that we all need that reset, and so that we can continue to push out the right way of going forward. But we think that next year we're gonna have something nice for the community collectively that we can definitely say that people are gonna appreciate and come out for.
And Zaid, what would you add to all that you've heard True V say as it relates to the original founders, and are the original founders still involved with the NAVC at this point?
On a lot of levels. There was a transition into the professionalization of community-based violence intervention. So a lot of us in different places doing different things, but all on the same accord, right? It's no accident in history that Keisha Uri is where she is by virtue of what she's done and how she's built. No, and it's no accident that Dawn Haynes was both of them great organizers.
And so we're talking about, and so Keisha Uri, who is now
the deputy mayor of public safety.
Okay.
Right, because we put the community in public safety
in the city of Newark.
That is what is at the heart of what we call community-based violence intervention, putting the community in public safety, not just the police. Right, we broke that paradigm up. Right, and that's
bringing the public back into public safety.
And that approach is spread all over the country. Sharif Amenhotep is always the soul of the Newark Anti-Violence Coalition, but he's also intimately involved in several programs within this city. And Bashir goes and teaches wherever he's asked to go and teach. I'm actually trying to do a program for him to teach this particular summer. So we're all over the place. But we're all involved in a very meaningful way, in a very structured way, and what we call community-based violence intervention. That's the language we want folks to know. And folks need to really appreciate that we're there. We've got some haters and naysayers that act like nothing has changed in all these years. That's just
and brother, if I could just add this one last piece, because I want people to understand this too. This is important and it's critical. We are there in the day and the night. Like, listen, this is work. Like people are asleep or in the house after 5, out off work, at 9, cooking dinner, eating, going to bed. We're there at night. We're there 2 a.m. I have a video on my phone from the other night of a guy got shot 3 times here in North Newark, and I was right there. Thank God that I think I was there and able to call for assistance for him to live. But what if I wasn't, and what if the car wouldn't have seen me running in that direction? Right? If they gonna see a witness, you know what I mean? Like, and I got the video, so this is proof. I ain't just talking. But the point I'm saying is we're there. We're there for real. It's not a game. Some days I don't sleep. Some days we don't sleep.
So the NABC on the 17th comes up and celebrates
The 20th,
17 years
the
of the
20th
NABC.
anniversary.
And what are we expecting? Like, do we expect any of the original members to come back and celebrate with you all at this 17th?
What, like I said, I'm planning to get with our original ones that we've been, getting with and coalescing around, for the past few years. Listen, I've been, wanting to get us, properly put in front of the people, the historical narrative straightened, because all of this stuff is worthy of noticing. Like, it's not for glory, for fame, or any of that stuff, but it's for factual purposes. Like it's like enough is enough with all of the other stuff. Let's talk about the root, the foundation, the movement, the drive, and give it the oomph that it deserves, as opposed to it was really meaningful. No, that was not meaningful. Raising the awareness of the people is never meaningful. Sticking to itness is never meaningful. Going to jail for the cause is never meaningful. It's never not meaningful. I'd rather say it's all meaningful. And that's just the reality. And people stood their ground. We stood for our principles, and we met our demands. Our fifth demand was lay the guns down. The violence is down. So people have laid their guns down in this city, all over this city. And that's due to, guys that are home from prison with the right minds, due to the community-based organizations that have been out here with the right people, and standing for the right purposes. And that's just the reality right there. The police have been here. They were unable to stop it. The only thing they were able to do is arrest people, and you can't arrest your way out of a situation, especially not a toxic one that at the root is cultural and communal. You need communal forces for that, and that's why the public should be brought back into public safety, as Mayor Baraka has demonstrated.
Well, I tell you this, True V, we're out of time, man. But I definitely would love to be able to get a group of you all together and come back and really talk about the organization NABC, because what it sounds like is that you guys were well on your way to having a major say-so in who runs this city, because it seemed like you all protected the city at a time when folks were trying to
we stopped the MUA.
Right. So that's why I'm saying I think that the NABC is a really important organization, and we need to talk about that, because and we need to talk to the original founders and sort of get an idea of what you all not only thought back then, like you were just sharing, you and Zaid, but what you think about, where the city is headed now. So we're going to look to have you back, Brother Truvi, and we appreciate you coming on and talking about us. Why don't you tell them one more time when the anniversary celebration is happening?
So it'll be we're going to put something together for the public definitely next year. But the root core people, we're going to get together again this year, and we're going to actually begin the discussions for what we're going to do next year. And hopefully by the time we all get together on the show, we'll have that answer for you.
All right, my brother. Sound good. Thank you so much, Brother Truvi.
Did you ask him the ritual question, Ed?
Hey, no, you can ask him, Zai.
True, can you hear me, True?
I'm ready. Come on.
You've been on the show. You should know that. You should know this question that's coming, right?
Come on.
In the midst of you doing this work, who do you listen to in the land of hip hop that sets you flowing?
That set me flowing?
Yes, sir. Set you going. Get you. Who's
Kendrick Lamar?
Say it again.
Kendrick Lamar.
All right. Okay.
Kendrick Lamar.
Okay. All right.
And to be honest with you, somebody turning me on to Michael Jackson. Now I'm liking Mike before they took him out.
What
For
song?
real.
What song is
That
what
was
song
that
is
was
that?
the same year, by the way.
Huh?
Michael Jackson left us the same year we started.
Right. That is crazy. I think Beautiful Ciasia talked about that too. You're right.
Man, I miss her. She's in North Carolina now. I miss her. Yes.
Original.
Yes. Very original.
All right, my brother. Thank you so
I
much.
love
Steve.
y'all, man. Keep me
Love you.
posted. And
You gotta
Baba
behave
Zai,
yourself.
help me put that together with us, bro.
All right, then behave yourself.
I shall.
All right, brother.
Oh my God. Oh, here comes the Council of Queens. Who we got? Who we got? Who we got? Who we got?
Council of Queens. You already
That's what
said
I'm calling it. Yeah, one was trying to wait for one to get in position. Oh, there she go. Right? With that big old smile. Right? Now,
Yeah.
Chanel, I'm glad you're here because usually
There we
when
go.
I have Masani and Patrice on, they smile on the radio. They don't. I got to really make them talk. Yeah.
I know, right? Don't worry. They're doing much better. They're doing much better. Take your microphone off mute, Masani. Let's go.
Let me introduce this way. This conversation this way. On the anniversary of the Mighty Newark Anti-Violence Coalition, which is on July 20th, started in 2009. July 20th, 1967, there was the launch of what became the National Black Power Conference in Newark on the blood and the ashes of the Mighty Newark Uprising. Our Imamu, the late great Amiri Baraka, father of our Mayor Ras J. Baraka, convening that coming together, head fully bandaged, having been a casualty of police abuse in the Newark Uprising. And one of the local fights in the epic place that was Newark as a beachhead for Black Power was a call for a housing project, a community-led, community-owned, affordable housing project. It was not just community-led, but community-owned, but it was specifically targeted, I want y'all to hear this, for the North Ward, which was one of the beachheads for the segregation in the city, right? There wasn't too many of us in the North Ward in the 1960s and the early 1970s because some other folks just didn't want us there, right? You get your behind hurt badly in the North Ward by some crazy behind white folks that we ultimately had to run out of Dodge in another way back in that town. But that was a very direct attack on one of the most difficult aspects of the powerlessness of the oppression of Black people in these cities, right? And a direct attack on the political and the geographic landscape of segregation as we knew it then. I know that's a lot for y'all to process, but I want y'all to appreciate what the shoulders that y'all are climbing on, right? And it's no accident of history that we come here now, some 50 some odd years later, almost 60 years later, quite frankly, right? And this young man who was the son of Amiri Baraka, now the mayor of Amiri Baraka, reconstitutes this idea of a community-led, community-owned, affordable housing project. But here, because things have changed so much by virtue of the ins and outs and ups and downs of history, he is actually placed in this downtown Newark, where we ain't even supposed to be unless we spending money, right? It's an incredible expression. And the fact that this particular formation is now led by a bevy of incredible Black women, I would dare say is a story to behold. So here we are, proud to present to you the Heritage Company, the mothers of what is going to be Kawaida Towers. Y'all clapping for yourself. Yeah, that's all.
We don't have a problem clapping for ourselves.
Right on, baby, right on. So I just want to salute y'all first personally, because it's really quite a step. And it's another reason why, it's going to be another reason why so many heads are turning all over the country over this town that was once the killing field of Newark, New Jersey. We're doing some incredible things, and what y'all are doing is indeed very special. In fact, I'm going to say this, and then we'll jump into the conversation. There's another queen that I'm incredibly inspired by in Tulsa, Oklahoma, i.e., Black Wall Street, who her response to violence and all of that in her community, she also took a big economic step to try and reclaim an entity to build out the Black economic infrastructure of what was Black Wall Street. And that is Dr. Tiffany Crutcher. One of these days, I'm going to try and bring all of y'all together, right? But very rarely do you see us actually address that. And the housing question is one that has been stalking us like a ghost forever, right? But the fact that in the midst of all this development, all these big real estate monsters trying to come in and suck our cities up and kick us out, right? Some of us are actually daring to sit down, pool our resources, and actually trying to make something happen. So I just want to salute you first and say that. Now, Chanel, I'm going to give you the task of introducing all of you to everybody. And as some of us, that we know, everybody know Masani and Patrice because they're smiling everywhere. And they have Source of Knowledge bookstore right downtown, right? A huge and endearing vessel for all of us. But everybody, we didn't know. We want to know all of y'all. We want to see what you got, right? We want y'all to tell your stories and come forward with how you became the Heritage Company. So go ahead and introduce all the queens.
I mean, first I want to say thank you for inviting us on the show. This is a huge honor for us. We watch all the time. We love you guys. We love listening and learning and being amongst the people. So it's an honor for us to be here tonight. I am Chanel Duns. I am the CEO of the Heritage Company. My professional life, I'm a consultant here in the city of Newark. To my left, I'm going to let each of them introduce themselves.
Yeah, and I'm Aminata, and I'm also a co-founder of Heritage Company, and by profession,
Aminata, my dear queen. What's your whole name, baby? What's your whole name? You got a last name too.
Aminata Mimi Kande. Okay. And I'm one of the co-founder of Heritage Company, and by profession, I'm a cosmetologist.
And then we have,
and I am Patrice McKinney, one of the co-owners of Source of Knowledge, as well as co-founders of Heritage. I am acting manager and sergeant at arms.
I am Aminata Ducre. I am a co-founder of Heritage Company and I'm also owner of Ancient African Formula.
Then we have one more on screen.
Yes, that's me. I'm Masani Barnwell, one of the co-founders of Heritage, as well as the acting secretary. I'm also the very shy one, and I'm the co-founder of, I'm one of the owners of Source of Knowledge.
Now we're supposed to be telling the truth on Brother Saeed's show. She's not the shy. This one over here is our quiet storm. Do you see her?
Yes. Oh yes.
So let's, in the time that we have, I want each of you to tell your story in terms of your own background and what brought you to come together to create Heritage.
I think in the sense of time, we'll stay focused on what brought us to Heritage, right? And you got to give credit to Aminata Ducre here. She's been talking for years about creating a space where Black folks can come, rent space, have their small businesses for little to no money, right? So for years, she's been talking about that. Couple of years back now, they decided to put a group of people together to kind of work towards just that. It was just a bunch of small Black-owned businesses along this Halsey Street corridor to build wealth, right? To build real estate, to build ownership, to do all the things that Mayor Baraka talk about in his men's meetings, his women's meetings, his family meetings, his community meetings. We had been going to those things and listening and trying to learn for 2 years now, right? And so we put it together and here we are today, right? Who would have ever thunk a cosmetologist a consultant, a bookstore owner, a seamstress, a bookstore owner can come together over the course of 2 years, put money together, learn together, and now we're going to build wealth in our community together.
And I really wanted to really take apart that, because that's really something to behold. And I want to put a pin in one thing that stood out, and I
Mm-hmm.
share this whenever we're doing things as source of knowledge, for instance, right? One of the ultimate weapons, if you don't mind me using military language, against
Army vet. I'm an Army vet, so let's go.
are you really?
Yes, I am. 8
No
years.
kidding, I didn't know that.
You know now, brother.
Okay. Is the arms and hands of gentrification. You can't be gentrified when you're owning, right? And one of the steps that we appreciate that came from this particular group, and I'm talking now about Asani and Patrice and Dexter, is that they didn't just take that building on Broad Street, but they ultimately came to own it, and that was a big deal.
Hmm.
We all paid attention to it, and and all of us in our own way wanted to make sure that we did that we all that we could to contribute to that, because as basic as that should be in our consciousness, unfortunately, we're not in a space in our community in a whole lot of these cities where it's not as basic in our consciousness.
Agreed.
But it was basic enough for them to do it, and for y'all ultimately to come together and to do what you're doing. So I just wanted to put a pin in that, right?
Thank you.
Um, and to my sisters, and I know you, and I love your modesty, but there's also a Pan African dimension to this, right?
Yes.
Aminata and Mimi, I want y'all to talk about how your background from back home, and tell everybody where you're from, and how all of that has influenced and inspired you to do what you are bringing to this table.
Um, well, I'm from West Africa, Guinea. Um, I
You are
came.
from the land of Sekou Touré.
Yes.
I want everybody to know what we're talking about now. All right, come on, come on.
And I came to America when I was 8 years old. I went to school here, high school, and also did my associate here in business. And later on, I decided, so you know what, I'm interested in doing hair. Yeah, and I changed the profession to go do cosmetology. So I went to Empire Beauty School, and I took my cosmetology classes. I have my license, and I opened a small hair salon, which I've been working. And so when the Heritage came up, when Aminata spoke about it, and I told her that's interesting, because now is we all share the same goal, same dream. I said, why not put it together and do something, or build real estate, or for community. We live in this community and we work together and further the community ahead. So that's what really motivate all of us to come to, and here we are now.
Aminata, you got to jump in. You got to jump in, my queen. We love you for your modesty, but we also see you for what you do and what you have brought to this community, what you brought to our village.
I am Aminata Dukre. I was born in Sierra Leone and I grew up in Gambia. And I am from the Soninke tribe. And I came to this country when I was 19 years old. And I was working at the health food store. And I start putting my own product. My daughter have hair issue. Then I start putting my own product together and make hair products. So the hair products, I was selling it, people start buying it. And from there, then I come to Newark and I start doing the shea butter there. And I start selling it wholesale, retail. And from there, then I had people be coming to my shop and telling me, "Oh my God, you bringing our culture back to Newark?" I say, "Yes, I will bring my culture back. I will bring our culture back to Newark." And I start selling clothes and jewelry, anything African. When you come there, you will get it.
Furniture,
Yes.
all of that. Yes.
Uh-huh. So yeah, from there, I said, as what I see inside the community, we don't get together and work together. We fight together a lot, but we don't work together. I said, why can't we get together and work together? It's gonna bring a difference in our community. So that's why we have Heritage Group.
I have to put a pin in.
She's been rehearsing all day, Zaire. She's like, I'm just gonna say my name and where I'm from, and then I'm gonna shut up.
Yeah.
No, we can't do that on radio. We got to
Thank
tell our stories. And I
Thank
want to
you.
put a pin on Aminata's heritage. The notion of back to Africa as a Pan African concept. Most of us associate that with Mr. Garvey, as we should for the great that Mr. Garvey did, but it actually begins with an ancestor named Paul Cuffey
Mhm.
in the 19th century, who literally did go back, right? After doing what he could do here in these states and realizing that the task was ultimately to protect his homeland and then to do what we can to uphold the homeland. And he did that, right? The nexus of that's Sierra Leone, right? But in Gambia, when Malcolm set Alex Haley's behind on fire, which led to roots, and everybody saw him trace his heritage back to Gambia, right? And there's a lot of Pan African activity in Gambia along that great river of where a lot of our folks came from in captivity, going back and forth now to try and reclaim that land. So I wanted to absolutely appreciate the Pan African dimensions of this story as it's unfolding. But now let me come to my sisters from Source of Knowledge, right? Kawaida is the language from which we get the Nguzu Saba,
Mhm.
from which we get Kwanzaa and all that entails, right? Amiri Baraka literally created a landscape where he had an organization of folks who lives by Kawaida principles, right? And this was an incredible time, right? And our founding producer, as a child, grew up witnessing that. And Ed is going to jump in a minute, I'm sure, right? But I want you to bring us back to the Kawaida principles. What principles? What are we leaning on in the Nguzo Saba to make the Kawaida story finally come true?
Gotcha. Okay, great.
And they smiling now. See that you got to talk.
Introduce you too.
It is obvious. Well, it's almost all of them because it's a matter of unity, umoja, but the fact of us coming together, unifying, coming of being of one mind, one mindset, and being able to stay focused on the prize of what it is that we know we wanted to do, and it's not for us individually, but it's for all of us as a community and as a people. Um, Unity is what brought us Kawaida, not the, and then and then of course um, Ujama, cooperative economics, cooperative, yeah, economics, to come together collectively, to put our money together, to pool our money together as a unit, to know to be able to eventually down the line um, come up with a piece of property or something concrete that will sustain us as a people, not us as individually, but as a people. And that's our main goal is to unify us as a people, to sustain us as a people, to grow us as a people, not as one, to create legacy and generations.
Mm-hmm.
That's me. Patrice can tell you something else.
Go ahead, Patrice. What add to that, if you will?
Okay, I think I first want to say when Aminata came with this concept of bringing us together in a diaspora, like she does this in Africa, and she wanted to bring it here in America. So the first thing I thought of is Kua Chakalia, and then I thought of Imani.
Self-determination.
Yeah, and having Imani the faith that we can do it. So it started out with a larger group, but it came down to 5 determined women that are no big I's and little U's. We just get it done. However, we work together collectively. Even if we disagree, we'll work together until we can agree. Um, I think this is showing that we can do it because it's been trying to be um, done for many years. So maybe this is just a blueprint of how you can get it done.
No unicorns.
No unicorns.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Ed, I know you got to jump into this, Ed.
Well, for me, I'm absolutely elated, uh, with all of these systems. And as they're talking, I'm thinking about, because I grew up on Sterling Street and Howard Street as a young man, and used to play house with the Baraka daughters and so forth as a young man. So I remember this concept of community housing. And so when they're talking about that and they're talking about the Kawaida Towers, um, I know somewhat about that, but I think that, I get this concept in my head about, what an example that's going to be, not only to our city, but I think to Black people all over the country, to see these sisters come together and to really fulfill a dream that Amiri Baraka had, right? And for them to come together and do that, I'm absolutely impressed by that. I don't know if they can give the history of that, or if you can, Zaid, to talk about, what was the original vision for the Kawaii Tower.
Yeah, and I try to do that in the intro, in that this was actually Amiri actually dared to try and do it in the North Ward, and won all the legal fights that you're supposed to go through, all the approvals, all of that stuff happened. Well, the delays and the hostility, the folks do not realize how racist Newark was as an up south city in this country, right? During that time, right? I mean, literally, a Black man going down Bloomfield Avenue in the evening in Newark in the 1960s is an adventure. I'm making it plain. Our stores downtown, we couldn't try on the clothes or put on. We couldn't do Newark.
That's true.
Newark, New Jersey, right? And the most white area, the most exclusive area of the wards at that time was in fact the North Ward. The North Ward had become the power base of the gangster class that was running City Hall, right? And when Amiri said we want to do this thing in the North Ward, that was a direct attack on the geographics of segregation in this town. We should have the right as human beings, right, and as full citizens in this country to live wherever the hell we want. If this country is all it says it's supposed to be. And Amiri attacked that directly, right? And almost won. It was the resistance, or the deep-seated resistance in that part of town, in the labor force. The unions in that area would actually protest against the work, right? Because union leadership in this country is racist as hell too, right? So for all of my socialist folks who want to glorify the working class, you got to put a pin in that in the United States. Because the white working class ain't getting down like that. right? But that was the climate of hostility that ultimately would not allow that to blow up the way it is now beginning to take shape and have the legs that it currently has. And I'm sure the ancestor that is smiling at all of you. And I'm saying all six of you, all five of you, my dear queens here, and his son who we love and uphold and support very dearly. Now, having said that, Madam CEO, let me come to you now. Just tell everybody just what is Kawaida going to look like? What are the towers going to look like? Where is
Yep.
it going to be? How many floors? Da, 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 da. Co-op mix, affordable and condo. What's all going to be in the sauce?
Just said it. So what it will look like, Kawaida Towers is going to be at the corner of Central and Halsey Street, right downtown in the Central Ward of Newark, New Jersey. It's a mixed-use property. So at the anchor of the structure will be affordable grocery store, culturally relevant, deeply discounted for our community, sort of like a co-op / mutual aid for the people in the community. And then on top of that will be 10 floors of condos and apartments. So there will be 35 units altogether total, 1, 2, 3 bedrooms, all 100% affordable. And so I want people to recognize when we say 100% affordable, most affordable units here in Newark start at 60% AMI, which is still not affordable for the people in the city.
Now, break it down. This is a teaching platform.
Yep, this is a teaching platform.
Folks trying to figure out what AMI is and whether or not it's a record or whatever you talk about. Break it down.
So the rents are based on the annual median income of Essex County, not the city of Newark. So typically, if you're basing it on the income of the Essex County, it's a wealthy county. Most rents for a 1-bedroom can go between $2,000 to $2,500 to whatever. So that's starting at 60% AMI. Our apartments will start at 30% AMI, which is half of what it is in the county. So it's more affordable for the people that live in the city of Newark. We listen.
That is huge.
It is huge. So we listen.
That is genuine affordability.
We didn't go into this development without hearing what the people are saying and have said. What do they want? They want quality grocery stores that's affordable to them. What do they want? They want affordable apartments that's not pushed out in the outskirts of Newark. They want to be here amongst everyone else. What do they want? They want ownership, right? They want to be able to have some financial literacy, some wealth generating spaces in the city of Newark. So we listened to all of that and we created that. 30% AMI for our apartments, 50% AMI starting for our condos. Did you hear that? 50% AMI starting for our condos. It's typically 80% starting for affordability, but we're starting at 50% AMI. It wasn't an easy feat, right? This will not make us, who's like the richest person in I want to say, it's not going to make us billionaires. It's not going to make us a Bill Gates. It's not going to make us a Elon Musk. It's not going to do anything. But what it is going to do is going to build a foundation of what we hope to be mirrored just all over the city of Newark and other places. We're going to have a place where we can build a community where we have some before care, some child care, some summer camps, right? We want to have a Kawaida Towers drill team. We want to get back to where we used to be back in the day when we supported one another, we took care of one another, and we can only control what we control. We can start with us and within Kawaida Towers. So we're looking forward to, building with our community right here in the city of Newark. And we're also looking forward to seeing this expand other places as well.
And I want to re-emphasize what it means to do something using the AMI of the city versus the AMI of the area, right? Most developers come in and hustle the hell out of our cities by virtue of using the market model, right? And I want to lift up one of my comrades from the Black Panther Party, the great Charles Barron, who, when he was in East New York as an elected official, he made every developer come into his district. Either you gonna go by the AMI of my city, you getting the hell out of my office, and you getting the hell out of East Brooklyn. And he stood by that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we do not see, not yet, that being modeled by all these other towns that got black mayors and black so-and-sos and others and all of that, right? And it's something that he always commented about. He said, we got all these black folks in high places, but we don't act like we got black power, right? But this is an actual demonstration of all of that, all of those things combined. And I just want to come back to the principle of Ujamaa, because Kwanzaa is this is year number 60 for Kwanzaa, right? And the principle that was the most neglected, I would dare say, right, is by virtue of our lack of economic maturity or economic memory, is Ujamaa, right? You know, we do all these great things with our kids, but if we're not instilling into them how to actually rebuild and reclaim all those spaces that we ought to rebuild and reclaim, you know, we're dancing around the edges and still stuck in the same spaces that we were in some 60 years ago. So I just really wanted to put a pin in that and let us hope, as you articulated, Chanel, that eyes are on it. Now eyes are already going to be on it. You can believe that.
Oh, we know.
Anytime there's be anything in this city,
there's a lot of chatter. There is a lot of chatter.
There's going to be a whole lot of scrutiny, and there's going to be a whole lot of haters. Right?
It's okay. Yeah, we're never scared. We're never scared because we're doing the right thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's nothing to hide.
Yeah, it's nothing to hide. And when you're doing the right thing, we don't mind being questioned, but give us the opportunity to give you an answer.
That's the thing. Now, let me ask you this. Now, what is the timetable for the development of the project?
Well, we're slated to be done in 18 months once we break ground. Our timeline looks like we're breaking ground in late September, early October, and 18 months from then. So before the end of, where are we, 2026? Before 2028. 2027, we'll be done. Sorry.
I want to make sure I'm a part of it. You know, this is a dream that's been a long time coming. And
the really, beauty of it, if I could say, Brother Muhammad, is that we were very intentional about building the team that we have. We are so tired of hearing that, you know, we can't find anyone qualified. We can't find anyone that can do that. No one in Newark can do this. No one of color can do that. Every single person, from our architect, from our general contractor, from our lead developer, who am I missing? From everybody is a black person. Everybody is plumber, electrician. Everybody is a black person right now, right? And so we're very intentional about creating a space for us, by us, just to show that we can do it.
I want to come back to two of my queens are from Muslim countries. The Asanata principle, you know, the beautifying principle, is very much a part of this. That's Kumba, right? And y'all doing what black folks have always done, which is how we survived the Holocaust. It was a transatlantic slave trade. That you're stepping out on faith. That's Imani.
Absolutely.
Right? So just want to you know, shape this conversation and let us feel the goodness of our Africanness in all of this too. All right. And I'm sure y'all all right with that. Ed, jump in here. I know you got a lot. I know you want to jump in this.
Well, you know, two things is that, you know, first off, I think that, you know, these sisters should be speaking to a number of organizations, you know, as it relates to, you know, black people coming together and doing something for themselves. I think that's number one, because I think that, as you all know, and you all have alluded to it, is that, you know, a lot of folks would say that, you know, we can't come together, we can't organize, and especially when you're talking about women, right? That sisters can't come together because of their attitudes and personalities. So y'all leading on that front. The second piece would be, you know, for me, that, you know, and I guess the question I would ask is, you know, how does it feel for you all to have a mayor like Baraka to be able to partner with you all and help you all see your vision. How does that feel, and what's that like?
Anybody want to answer?
I just got one answer.
It's-
My man's dope.
I don't think, had we been under any other mayor, would we have even felt like we could have come together and know that we have the backing of our government and our city and our people and he's encouraging and letting it's like our children. He is for I think he's for us what we keep saying we want for our children. We want them to see
Right.
that we can do it, and that and it's possible. And here we are, people who are going to do it. And he has been a fan of the city of Newark, a supporter of his people 100%. And this is just proof in the words that he speak, that he's like, I'm putting things in place. We gotta actually step up and do it.
Right. Right. No handouts. I mean, all those things are great, but he is tough. Right? He's also very tough. Like, figure it out. Like, you can do it. Just take a minute, work together, figure it out. And we did.
Work together.
We worked together. We figured it
Work
out.
together.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons I asked you all that question, because I think I had an opportunity to see when you all did an event down at the Robert Treat, and the mayor was talking about the doll tests, right? You all remember that?
Yep.
Mhm.
He was
Make
talking
it plain, Ed, for those who don't know what that is.
Yeah, so the doll test was with Kenneth and Maria Clark, where, they had, back in the day, they were doing the psychology test with young kids, and they gave them a black doll and a white doll. And they would ask them who were the good people and who were the bad people. And they would always pull the white doll as though the white doll was was the good people. And so for you all, having understood what he was laying out, when we look at you sisters and we see the good sisters, right? So if somebody were to do a doll test,
Good sisters and the beautiful sisters.
yeah, I agree, right? So, and it's funny, Zai, because you refer to them as queens, and I noticed my wife, when she talked to other black women, she always called them queens, and so I agree
Gotta
with
claim that.
and so I see them and they queendom. But I think that when he was doing that doll test, I think what you represent now is that when black people begin to do that doll test, we'll see 5 black beautiful women. And I think those children will pull those 5 black beautiful women off that and say, no, I think that these are the good people. I think that these are the ones who have decided to stand up and do something and lead for our people. So I think that that's important. And when you say that this would not have happened under any other mayor if it wasn't Mayor Baraka, I agree with you there, right? Because, and I'll share something with you all that I bug him about all the time, and that is that black people need leadership, right? We don't want to admit that, but as a people, we need leadership. And so we need you all to lead in the way that you all are leading, because I had an event that happened to me today that really broke my heart. I went into a store. I saw a young girl boosting, and I offered to pay for it because I said to myself, I don't know the young sister's situation, but she looked at me like I was crazy, and she continued to do what she was doing, but she didn't know who I was. And so I say that we need examples in our community so that other brothers and sisters can see what the realm of possibility is. Can you imagine if Michael Jordan lived in our community? Can you imagine if Shaq lived in our community? Can you imagine if all these people lived in our community like it was in the old days, and you walk out and you would have see the doctors, you would have see the electricians, you would have see all of the plumbers and all of that. We don't see that today. So you all are bringing it back to the community. And I think that in and of itself deserves not only an applause, but I think it deserves all of us to stand up and do what we can, not only to help you sisters, but I think to do all that we can to make sure that you all are successful, the same way Mayor Baraka is. So I know Zaid would tell you, and I know you all know that, you know, all politics are local, been around for 16 years. And you know, anytime you all need to come here and talk about anything, this platform will be open to you all to do that. And I just want to say congratulations.
If I can add, you said something very important about the young kids learning that they can choose us, that we can be chosen, but we also have to show them that. So one of the things that we've incorporated is not only bringing young people to the table, but giving them a seat at the table. So we have a young leadership council who is part of our board. So they're learning this process as they go, right? They're integrated in every aspect of it, from picking architects to picking CPAs to community engagement. So we want them to be the next iteration of whatever it is this is going to turn out to be. But we want to prepare them. We want them to know that they can choose us, but they can also be the one to do it as well.
Right. Yeah. And the other piece is that, you know, this is business, right? And so we want to be able to make sure that as they're looking at you ladies, that they are clear that you all are doing business and doing good business, right? You know, because I think
they tend to do whatever's necessary to be successful.
Right, because I think that that's one of the things that we miss, right? We miss that, you know, we've got to do business. I mean, I used to talk to, may God be pleased with the street doctor, and the one thing I used to always say to street is that, you know, street, we can be all the brothers that we want to be, but we've got to do business. We've got to be able to show the brothers and sisters how to do good business, because we can't go to Mayor Baraka and ask Mayor Baraka to do the business that we should be doing. No, we want to go and get the help we need, but we want to do the business, and we want to show them that we can do the business, so that when we ask for the help is coming into doing good business, right? You know, the Bible has this saying where it talks about sowing into good seed, right? Sowing seed into good soil. You ladies represent good soil and good business. And I'm glad you all are my example instead of me being yours.
Thank you.
Yeah, you got that love, you know, and you earned that. You earned that. And I'm glad to hear about that youth council too. I have a teaching mission for you. I'll talk to you about that offline. as we wind down, and now for those of you on the show for the first time, you may not know that this is a hip hop educational show, right? And I said, well, wait a minute. Somebody just jumped in. Should say something. One of our co-hosts was the former councilwoman of Orange, New Jersey, and was the most popular elected in her time when she was on city council, and has done her share in her town to try and engender similar projects. Don, I know just before we let our sisters go, I know you wanted to say something or add something to your sisters. You want to jump in there?
Yes. Hello, ladies. How are you?
Hello, Donna.
Hi. Masani, I have to tell you, they blow you up on Urban View. Like Masani's, they talk about the bookstore all the time on Urban View. Laree, and I think every word ends with a source of knowledge. So I want to let you know that.
Love her.
But before you leave, as Zaid started to say, this is a hip hop political show. So when you're doing the work that you do, is there a hip hop artist or an artist that you listen to that keeps you inspired, a musical artist?
Well,
that's a question for everybody.
It's always and forever going to be Nas for me. And one song in particular, no original ideas under the sun. We're not doing anything new. We didn't create this work, right? And it's not just one singular person that can get this work done. There's no original ideas under the sun. It's going to take us all to do the work that we say we're going to do.
Okay. All right. Nas
Now, wait a
looking
minute.
good. He was just on the
Everybody
BET Awards.
Everybody
Yes,
got
everybody.
Oh, okay. Eric B for me, because you got the master plan.
All right. All right. Next.
And Nas too, especially the way he said that I know I can
Okay.
be what I want to be. You know, it's like
I use that with my babies. I know what you're talking about. Yes.
All right. And
Amanada.
we saved the best for last. Yes.
No, we got two more.
Two more.
Got two more.
I know. In this, I'm talking about in this room. Yes.
She said, I don't listen to hip hop. So
No, I said or musical artists. Is there any
Who do
artist?
you listen to? We just had a big Afro beef. Who you listen to? It's all right. I don't listen to hip hop. I'm a jazz poet.
she said, I don't listen. The grandkids inspire her. She listens to them all day.
Okay. Your grandbabies. Okay.
Yeah.
Shani, we
All
get
right.
back to you, my queen. What say you?
Me, I'm not hip hop, but the person that moves me when I need thinking and clarity, I listen to me some Erykah Badu.
Okay. All right.
I do.
All right.
Now, I have
All
to
right.
say this.
Erykah.
Since we're talking about the range of music, this is a loaded day, musically speaking. It's the anniversary of the transition to the land of the ancestors of Billie Holiday, and it's the anniversary of the transition of John Coltrane to the land of the ancestors. That's on a whole nother level, and something we can all claim, right? So all weapons on the table. Chanel, you hear what I'm saying, dog? You hear what I'm saying? All weapons on the table, baby, right?
Yes.
Beautiful conversation.
So that's from Strange Fruit all the way to Call Tyrone. Okay.
Yes. Receive it all.
So this is our community drum. For those of you with us for the first time, and if there's ever a time when the company needs to share something about what's going on that you think that's important for the community to know, you just let us know, and you got the mic. Okay.
Yep.
You got the
Can we
mic.
leave you with our website?
Sure.
Our website is www.kawaidaliving.com.
Kawaidaliving.com.
Kawaidaliving.com. KAWAIDA living.com. And so there we'll keep a timeline of events so you can see in real time the progress that we're making, any asks that we have. You can always go on there and donate as well. But there's where you'll get the majority of our updates.
Oh, shit.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you, my dear queen.
I have a question for you. Who is that man that Malcolm is talking to? Or shaking hands?
That's a crowd. You're looking at the background over my shoulder?
Yeah.
This is Malcolm. I have to look back and see exactly what year it is, but this is him addressing some college students, right? And one of in the way he used to address community conversations and college students over the years. But this is I believe this is in 1961 when he was on the road doing his work, right? And I'm actually in the process of collecting a ton of pictures of his. I'm trying to come up with enough to actually create a photo book of his image, because this is a very powerful image for his moment, right? So I appreciate you looking that up.
Back there. I thought that might have been you back there.
Back then, oh my, well, definitely would have been. You can believe that.
Well, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for having us on.
Thank you very, very much. We appreciate you.
Power to the people.
Oh, that's right. You're talking my talk.
Have a good weekend, everybody.
That's right. Enjoy the rest of the summer. Oh, what a day, what a day, what a day. That Erykah Badu language, right?
I have somebody gonna knock on my door, so I'm gonna cut the camera off for a second just so they don't be in the background when they knock. Okay.
All right.
I thought she was coming back. Okay.
Well, that was she's trying to figure out how to go in and out. She struggles with this stuff too. But yeah. All right. Okay.
Okay.
They're coming.
Do we have like some time between our is our guest in the background?
No, we don't have our next guest. Is supposed to be coming on, the young Lord.
Yeah. Let me see if I can get them.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't see you, but you know what I want to. Did any of you get an opportunity to? I hit Larry up because I wanted to have him come help us break it down. Did you all get a chance to see any of that? I don't even know what we need to call that. What Donald?
Last night. That's all I was going to ask you about. Wait, they're knocking. I'll be right back. I'm sorry.
Oh, we're talking about with Trump. I didn't watch that.
I'm not even sure. What do we call it?
Well, I tell you though, the thing to be very clear about is that for all of his madness, he's deadly serious with his intentionality, right? And what he's trying to do is create the climate to make the Congress ramrod this Save America Act down our throats, right? Because it's the only way he can legally win an election. It's the only way they can legally survive in the next round of elections in the Congress. They know that, right? So this Save America Act will literally create a purge that would almost make it impossible for them to be de-seated in the way that we wouldn't even be talking about if that wasn't on the table, right? And he just makes stuff up and they all fall in on it. It's terrible.
But as I understand it, Zaid, he doesn't have the votes to get that passed in Congress.
No, but he's trying to create the die using his bully pulpit, right, to still push for it anyway. He's trying to figure out. He's trying to make sure all of them Republicans go in lockstep, right? And they're starting not to go in lockstep in recent weeks, and because nobody wanted that stupid war in Iran, right? There's even beginning to see some cracks within the unquestioned military and money support for Israel. That is starting to change a little bit, right? On both sides of the aisle, that's starting to change a little bit. So, this is, him using his aura as the celebrity president and really making use of the bully pulpit that he has access to try and make that happen. Now, and then and the other option, of course, is he's got the brown shirts in the street. If they start showing up at the polls, that could mean something too. So as we get closer to those elections, expect them to be more dangerous in their daring to try and prevent a genuine, clean election from taking place. Don't be surprised about that. Crazy as he is, illogical as he is, dysfunctional as he is intentional.
Mm-hmm.
He is very intentional. So we can't dismiss him for all of his folly. We made that mistake, and that's how his behind got back in office.
Right. So do you think that what happened last? Because I'm hearing this. I don't know, but I'm hearing that it was really a setup for what's going to go into play as it relates to the election itself. In other words, he's setting up to say that the elections that are going to take place, if he lose, was unfair and that folks cheated.
Absolutely.
So even though there's no evidence of that, he's setting the stage to say if he lose, because what I heard Hakeem Jeffries say that if he wins the speaker, he's going to begin impeachment hearings. So and then of course he's been convicted in New York of I think it's 34 felony crimes.
You the lawyer, you can break that down better than I can.
Yeah, and
a lot.
And so the 34 state felony crimes are still hanging over his head.
Yeah.
So if he's no longer
as he's president, that's right.
Right. So is that really what it's about? Let me stay the president until I die. So therefore, I don't have to go back to New York and answer those felonies. I mean, you know what happened when a person get convicted of one felony, but 34, I've never heard of that.
No, nobody has.
So I think last night, as I saw some of that, I was just a little stunned. I was like, wow, he's speaking about things that have not happened. So, and then of course, he wants to make it difficult for folk to even vote. So I'm not sure how many people have a birth certificate. I'm not sure how many people have a passport. I'm not sure how many people have all three: the driver's license, the passport, the birth certificate. I'm not sure how many people got all of that. So if you need all of that in order to go in and vote, and then the other thing is, Saeed, I don't think illegals can vote in America. I'm not sure if illegal aliens can vote. So where's that? So how is he saying that? And I'm sure there's got to be people around him that are saying, Mr. President, illegal aliens can't vote in the United States. So what is he talking about?
Yeah, he is creating the die to steal the show. We saw what he did on January 6th a few years ago. And I'm trying to track down our guests. They're having some issues with the link.
So
right. Yeah,
I think there's real concern. I think that what are we're like 3 or 4 months out from November, and I think we've got to be concerned about what their plan really is going forward. And I think that our people, Black folk, have got to wake up and become politically conscious about what's going to happen, because I think that was, I mean, listen, we're not that far away, Zaid, from $5 gas. You know that, right?
Yeah, we're right there.
Yeah, and I think that he continuing to mess with those folks over there, having started a war and having tore up an agreement that would have prevented those folks from developing a nuclear weapon, and now we seem to be headed back in that direction. And now all of this money that's being spent on an unnecessary war, and now the American people who are already struggling with food prices now headed toward $5 gasoline. And it's not like Republicans who support him aren't suffering. I begin to wonder, at what point do white folks in this country begin to say we've got to move past our racism in order to be able to recognize that this guy's bad for the country? When do they do that?
I don't know. I've never had an answer to the question for America's white folks. We've only had a few minutes where a small number of them have stepped forward and actually tried to make a difference. And
Right.
that, of course, was in the 1960s when some literally put themselves on the line for that, and broke away from the segregated order, and that was minimal. And of course, our Underground Railroad forces in both centuries, 19th and the 20th centuries, were mixed operations, right? Beyond that, I don't know our white folks like that. I can't answer that one. They need a lot of prayer, to say the least, right? For those of y'all that are praying like that, but we need to be prepared to defend ourselves.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And we need a massive turnout in terms of voter participation, and making. I would tell everybody right now. I would tell everybody right now, North and South, to check your registration. Just check it. Make sure it's intact, right? Because even in the North, there's states that will periodically purge your registration if you have not voted recently. And people don't realize that, right?
Check if you haven't voted in two federal elections. Two federal elections. But the reason I was gonna also ask you, did it come across your news feed that apparently I checked this afternoon that the governor decided not to fly the flags at half-staff in light of Lindsey Graham. And when I had called to just inquire about those who knew, might know. One of the things that was brought to my attention is that we were denied funds for our snow. And so, that sometimes, like, you know how you read the feeds when it was like the governor didn't fly the staff, and then you also look at New York and New Jersey were denied federal funds for snow removal and things like that. And when the governors decided to take a stand and just show, because Lindsey Graham was one of the people who denied the funds. So I just had wanted to talk a little bit about that, but now it's not the time.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do our transition. And Mariposa, you're just jumping on, right? And it's good to see you. And I'm hoping Espen jumps on. I did miss the link. And I apologize for any issues with the link. But I was hoping you would have heard the segment before that, because it was a profound segment of some women coming together to build some housing in Newark, right? And we're getting ready with the conversation that you and I are going to have right now is about an incredible woman, right? Who was a mentor to many and put a whole lot of fire in a lot of young women, right? To really become serious difference makers for our peoples in our community, right? July 15th saw the sun set on the life of the incredible Denise Oliver Velez. Denise Oliver Velez was an incredible organizer and one of the legendary figures that emerged from the Young Lords, mighty Young Lords. Those not familiar with the Young Lords, let me just say it this way. The Young Lords was the Puerto Rican answer to the Black Panther Party, right? And taking to the streets, shutting it down, standing up, courageous to police brutality and all of the indicators of oppression, and unapologetic and bold children of Albizu Campos, and standing up for the independence of Puerto Rico. Now, I heard somebody say, and in the course of just trying to really wrap my head around Denise not being here, is that Puerto Rico is the quiet colony of the United States. You don't get that in elementary school and in high school and college. You don't get the colonialism of U.S. imperialism and how that is right in our face with our people right here from Puerto Rico, right? And the struggle for independence is real and as vibrant as it ever was. And she was a champion of that. And then also, and I'm just trying to set it up this way, Mariposa, right? The Young Lords were also, as in her language, a bridge. And they were not just like the Black Panther Party in terms of their principles and their politics, but in their makeup. Black Panther Party drew, of course, the bravest folks of that generation in the Black community, but they also drew folks from other communities, right? One of my favorite films was by a Chinese Panther. Do you hear me, Mariposa? The film All Power to the People by Li Lu Li. Chinese Panther. We had Japanese Panthers. We had Puerto Rican Panthers. And the Lords were much the same way. Denise is Afro-American. Right? From Brooklyn, right? But that bridge between our cultures, right? And ultimately embodying in their practice what Malcolm referred to as a united front. It's so profound. But Mariposa, to jump on in here and let's, tell us your story with Denise Oliver and why her life and legacy is so important.
I could tell you a little bit because it's too deep to tell you the whole story. Denise was just so many things to so many people and so many things to me all at once. A big sis, a mentor, a teacher, an inspiration, and just a magical being. She was a magical being. One of the tributes, there's so many tributes that are going on right now, especially in the DK, she would call it DK, the Daily Coast political blog that she was a columnist for. And
she put out a lot in that column too. She was prolific.
She did. And she got me to become a diarist, So I mostly comment, but I have published like 5 pieces. And recently the platform switched to WordPress. Hi, SB.
And let me bring her in. And I should have done more justice to you and introduce you. Mariposa is our Mariposa. She's our butterfly. A wonderful poet that grew up under us in this work. And one of our teachers has just joined us, Esperanza Martell. And she was one of my favorite teachers, right? An organizer amongst organizers, right? So I didn't introduce each of you the way I should have, loving on Denise so much. And I think y'all all right with that. Y'all can forgive me for that. But I just wanted to do that as SB came on in. Now, go ahead and continue your thought, Mariposa. Please do that.
So I recall, when I really recall getting connected with Denise, it was in 2009, even though we may have, I believe we met earlier than that. But, she had moved upstate. She moved to Kingston, New York. So she wasn't in the city, and it wasn't, necessarily easy to meet her, So the first time that I really recall meeting her and connecting with her was in 2009 during the 40th anniversary of the Young Lords. And it was at the People's Church. And then afterwards, there was a reception at Taller Boricua at the Julia de Burgos Center. That's what I recall. And there's a picture of that time, and there's a group picture with, and it's me, Denise, Esperanza Martell, and I think Melissa Montero. And it's just a beautiful intergenerational picture. And it's a fun picture. And she was a whole lot of fun. So yeah, definitely she was a radical to the day that she died. She described herself as a pragmatic radical. She also was an alum of Music and Art High School. And I
love music.
Yeah, she
wrote on music regularly.
Yes, definitely. I mean, and she was a singer. I mean, there's so many stories. I mean, she had her own doo-wop group. She had her own doo-wop, and she knew like the whole history of doo-wop and all that. But her doo-wop group didn't get off the ground. But there's a record. There's a record. And she's on the cover of the record. I would love to find.
I would love to dig that up.
Yeah, I mean, in one of the stories on, there's all these beautiful tributes that people are doing, and people are gathering, like compiling all of her writings and all of her Black Music Sundays that she started. And she could have been a musicologist, but she wouldn't accept that, the title of musicologist, or she was just knowledgeable about music, not only her generation, but the generations before. So I learned so much about Black music by listening to her and participating, because it wasn't just about, that's the beautiful thing about Denise. And it shows that she was able to create community wherever she went.
Yeah.
And so I'm actually inspired to get on the Worlds of Warcraft to find her community of people, because she was a girl gamer.
I'm listening to you now.
She was very proud. She was really proud.
Mariposa, was she in the group with gentlemen, or?
I don't know. That's why I have to.
Oh, because I'm coming across a song that says "The Miracles Got a Job," and she was writing about it. I'm gonna send that to the group. Okay.
Great.
You know who else is into that? Daruba bin Wahad. Don't put one of them war games in front of Daruba. He go nuts.
Well, there's like little communities. Like I can't just go on. I would have to reach out and find out which of those little worlds, because it's like little worlds, and I need to make sure I'm in the one that she, her community. I wouldn't want to just start, getting on into online gaming. But what was I saying? Oh, so back to being connected to Denise. So then it was through my relationship with Minerva Soya, may she rest in power, who just passed away in April, and their friendship, because they also, she had moved upstate. So there's this whole upstate community up there, Kingston, Amsterdam, which they say is like little Puerto Rico up there. And so a lot of them are up there. So she would always go to Women's Day, which was the first weekend of the month of August. And often it would coincide with her birthday, which is August 1st. And so she's a Leo, right?
Black August baby.
Black August baby all the way.
Oh,
and
my
Leo.
God.
Yes, and a Leo. So we would celebrate, on many of those, and it was like a holiday. Like you mark that on your calendar from the year before. And it would always take place in Minerva's house. So being able to be with Denise in a space like that, in a beautiful backyard, at a barbecue, to be in the pool with Denise, and there were certain rituals that we would that would be a part of Women's Day, and one of them was the volleyball game in the pool, where Denise would get in, and she was very competitive. She was serious. She was very competitive. Sometimes she, especially in these later years, she would be the referee. Instead of getting in the pool and playing, she would be the referee, which was hilarious. In these Women's Day gatherings, I was able to meet Kathleen Cleaver and so many powerful women in the movement, not only Black Panther women, but other sisters from the Young Lords and other sisters from different movements. From different movements, labor, political prisoners, mothers that were fighting against the wrongful convictions of their sons, and every sister there was just a part of something powerful, and so Denise was a part of that. And then when the pandemic happened, we started talking on the phone a lot, and that's when it was one of the silver linings of the pandemic, that she was just a part of my life in such a powerful way. And it would be many mornings, and she was a morning person. So, and she'd be on her, computer, and I'd be on my computer, because that's when she would comment in the Daily Kos. And she would also, she was into cartoons. She was into comics. And I think that her love of art, the fact that she was an art major when she went to music and art high school, which, by the way, I wanted to just add that I went to LaGuardia, which is what music and art became. So that we had that in common. And we got to be grateful for her artwork that survives all of the cartoons, a lot of the cartoons in the Palante newspaper. If you look very closely, you'll see her initials, or you'll see D. Oliver. And so there's a poster.
Paper too, by the way.
Yeah,
Palante was a good paper. It was a good paper. Go ahead.
So there's a poem that was penned by Felipe Luciano, and she did the artwork. And
I'm have Felipe on next week for part 2, by the way.
Excellent. That's excellent. SB donated a poster, the actual original, to the Bronx Historical Society, because Denise's connection to the Bronx is that, one, her family lived in the Bronx at one point on East 224th Street, I believe. And in the interview that's a part of the archive, she gave an oral history. So it lives in the archive at the Bronx Historical Society in conjunction with Fordham University. So it's a part of Bronx African American Oral History. So you can read the transcript, which is beautiful because it's a searchable transcript, and you can listen. You could listen to her and you can see it. Esperanza also has several interviews that are a part of that collection. But it's just beautiful to hear the sister tell the stories in her own voice. And I feel really privileged that some of the stories she told to me directly, and that I can go and I could find, if I'm like, oh my God, I don't remember exactly what she said, because she was like the Forrest Gump of the civil rights movement and the Black liberation movement. Okay, she got to meet everybody, and she must have just been the most outgoing, confident, and of course, she was raised to be that way. Her father was a Tuskegee Airman. She was taught, she was taught to fly in the face of fear from her dad, who was a Tuskegee Airman. And one of her friends that I was talking to this morning from the Daily Coast reminded me of that. Denise was very special. She also grew up in a political context, and she grew up in a political family. She came from a family of communists, basically, and so she just had such an amazing sense of humor, and her storytelling and the way she could just make you laugh. It was just a part of the way she taught us so many different things.
And let me just say this, and I want to pivot to the elders, right? While we got her, you lifted her up already. To the young heads on here who've not seen anything and don't have backgrounds on the Lord and whatnot, but who understand all this, and who find their lives inundated with gangsterism, right? What's the name of this show, Donna? The gangster show that was about Bumpy Johnson.
Oh,
Godfather Harlem?
The Godfather of Harlem. Yes.
There is a documentary of the real history. And Denise is all up in that. The Felipe and the Lords.
Oh, wow. So you talking about the documentary that they did alongside?
Yes.
So, okay. Wow. Okay.
Yes. But and that just gives you a taste of who she is and who they were, right? But this is a place to start for those who don't know and their consciousness is going along those guardrails. I just want to put a pin in that, right? Esperanza, the organizer amongst organizers, lift up your comrade, sister, in the landscape of your comrade organizers. How do we lift up and appreciate the great Denise Oliver as an organizer?
It's and Marie began to talk about it, but it's very important to put her in the context of young people who were racing in the 60s and who were growing in the 60s and developing political consciousness. So she doesn't bring out of nowhere. She comes from a family of communists, of Black communists who were anti-capitalist, anti-imperialist, anti-colonial. And this is her legacy. And this is her legacy. So we need to look at her life work based on her development as a teenager, politically engaged with the family who was very political, but at the same time with a developing not just a Black civil rights movement, but a very leftist,
absolutely,
Black power movement.
Yes, ma'am.
Who was grounded in Pan-Africanism, revolutionary Pan-Africanism. And that is who her her basis, her principles. That's where that comes out of. And she was a visionary, also a stand fast, a hard ass, right? A standing for women's revolutionary rights. And she was a womanist in the biggest sense of the word.
Right on.
One of the things that I didn't know, because I've been reading everything about her now, is her encounter with Malcolm.
I just learned that too. Tell it. Go ahead and tell it, please.
That she was working as a
That's
waitress.
Yes.
And that somebody had an altercation with her, and Malcolm stepped in.
And he disrespected her because she was light skinned.
Mm-hmm.
And this joker pulled a gun on her.
Colorism.
Yeah.
And Malcolm stood up for it and nipped that in the bud.
Yes. So there are many stories like this. The other thing I like to talk about, she was like the first woman on the Central Committee of the Young Lords Party. The Young Lords Party, as the Black Panthers Party, were rooted, and if people don't know what being a Maoist was, they were rooted in Maoism, which all the serve the people comes out of that.
Right.
The issues around the army and leading behind the people. The 10-point program comes out of that. So that's why she was able to be in both organizations.
Yes.
I think one of and when Felipe comes next week, you can ask, because she was one of the leaders in the women's unions dealing with in the original 10-point program of the party. It said that machismo was revolutionaries, and the women of the party under the leadership of Denise and Edith Morales took that on and turned it on its head. Right? I say talk to Felipe because he was one of the people who really believed in that. And so she always she was a dialectical, historical, materialist thinker, which is critical thinking as a Marxist. And she was very broad in her work. So she could sit down with people from the Democratic Party, and she could sit down with folks who were revolutionary Pan-Africans from Africa. Her span in organizing was very wide. And so we can't just limit her. And people try to put us in this, that it was a cultural, right? No, she had a political strategy developed very young, which she carried on in her teaching, in her organizing all women with a focus on youth. This comes from her ideological beliefs. She spoke, the last time I heard her speak was at the Latinx conference at the city university, the graduate center that was organized by Johanna Fernandez and others. and she talked about the importance of doing solidarity work. She always talked about Puerto Rico and independence and all that, with the Congo and the Sudan. It's not, we do this work to end genocide around Palestine and another level against Puerto Rico. And here, the war is here also against the people, but she had this broad vision. So she talked about that work. We had a women's caucus at this conference, and this conference happened in May, Mari. This is recent. I think it was May. Anyway, and April, at the end of April, I think. Anyway, the thing is that and Mariposa could talk more about it because I lose words. But the thing is that in the news, there was the issue around Cesar Chavez and his abuse.
Yes.
His abuse of women in the farm workers movement, especially the main organizer, Huerta. So she looked at her work historically and talked about women's oppression, and how women have to support each other and stand up and speak truth and deal with the fear. So I found that very powerfully. Maybe Mariposa, you would like to say something more about that.
I would like to say, and I can't stay that long because I have to run out. That I would like to add that she would unapologetically use the word feminism and identify as a feminist, not in the Betty Friedan sense, not in the Gloria Steinem sense, but in the Queen Nzinga sense.
Yes, ma'am.
In the Sojourner Truth, Harriet Tubman sense.
Yes, ma'am.
The Lolita Lebrun sense. Okay?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So, and she would say, look, the work that was being done by the Young Lords and the Black Panthers was not second wave. That predated, what people call second wave feminism. But she believed that we needed to use all of the tools in our toolbox, and that our democratic system, which is electoral politics, is something that we cannot do away with. She didn't have any patience for people like Kaepernick, who use their celebrity and their political platforms to tell people to not vote, that that voting was pointless. Because when she was 17 years old, and she loved telling this story, she met Fannie Lou Hamer. When Fannie Lou Hamer came up to New York, and it was Malcolm who brought Fannie Lou Hamer.
December 64. That's right, baby. That's right.
Yes. And that she made such an impression on a young Denise, on 17-year-old Denise.
Right.
And also, just to add to what SB was saying, that she came from a political family, so she already had these ideas. She pursued education relentlessly. For a short time, she attended. She attended. I'm trying to remember the school where Mickey Melendez also went.
Old Westbury.
Right, Old Westbury. And then I think, because I think Old Westbury offered her a scholarship. But for a short time, she was at what was then called the Bronx campus of Hunter College, which is now Lehman College, where I teach. When Richie Perez went there,
Long
also.
live Richie Perez.
And so I don't remember the order of, if she was there first and then she went because she got offered a scholarship, but then she wound up in Howard. And the fact that the movement against the movement to stop the Vietnam War, the anti-war movement was happening, and all these things were converging. And of course, being 18 years old when Malcolm was assassinated, all of these things kind of crystallized so that when the opportunity came, and at first I'm trying to remember the name that they called themselves. Mickey, I was just on a phone call with Mickey Melendez. I forgot the name of their organization that they called themselves, like a Great Society or something like that. That was the name of their group. Do you recall this? And then they read about the Young Lords in Chicago because they read the Black Panther newspaper. Right. And they drove out to Chicago.
Yeah.
So, and then she tells the story of going to the Congo, and because she got an invitation for someone that she didn't even really know really. And, so she was out in the Congo with the Cleavers and, just a really courageous spirit. People would ask her to write a memoir or her autobiography, and she would say, I don't have time. Let somebody else do it. Let somebody else put together a book.
A lot of us struggle with that.
But I think it would be impossible for someone to write a biography that really captures everything. And a lot of people who are writing tributes to her right now would agree with that. That it's how do you put, and it's similar to what Esperanza was saying in the beginning of her comments, that people want to reduce you to a description, and with everything that she did and believed in and was up until the end, how she used her writing as she used the platform of her columns, Caribbean Matters and Black Music Sunday. And Black Music Sunday was really important as well, because we need to be able to enjoy life. The fact that she would take the time to go into her fantasy world of, World of Warcraft and engage in that way. Those things are really important forms of self-care that she showed us the example. Like, you have to find whatever it is that fills you up and fills your cup and brings you joy, so that you can continue, because otherwise it's just
you can be consumed in all this stuff.
Exactly. But back to what I was saying about meeting Fannie Lou Hamer and how much that made an impression on her. So she was very concerned up until the end, and as we all should be. And don't forget, actually, I'm going to hold up a book as well, Johanna Fernandez book.
Yeah, and I put it in the chat already. You know that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So
and in fact, I was going to ask you each, your take on how much has been written and not written on that era, and the women who came through that era that needs to be looked at now. And Espy already anticipating what I'm talking about. Tell us what you're lifting up, Espy, because everybody can't see it.
There are two books that are written by Iris Morales.
Oh my goodness! I got to see if I can reach out to her.
So there is Through the Eyes of Rebel Women, The Young Lords from 1969 to 1976. That is this book here. And then so that you could hear Denise within the context of other women of the Young Lords. And then is revisiting her stories the Young Lords Party. So I would recommend it for those folks that really, outside of Johanna's book, that these two books are very important. There are other books that have been written by the men of the Young Lords.
I met Mickey through his book.
Yes, but it's really important that you look at woman's lens, because the backbone of the Young Lords were the women, as they were for the Black Panther Party.
Right.
So, really, this is the time to study Denise, to study her thinking and her method of organizing. Because, yes, in her later years, she became an academic, but she was an activist academic. What moved her was her politics.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Well, she was similar to you in the sense that she did not identify with the term academic. She was not, she didn't like to be called professor, and she didn't like the term. But don't forget Johanna Fernandez's book.
Yes. Very proud of Johanna.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
So I have to go, actually. Zaid, you asked if I had written a poem. I'm in the process of writing.
Let me know when you got it ready, baby, because we want you to fire.
I have a poem that I've written to her that I presented to her.
Okay, let's hear it.
Read. Okay. All right. The poem is titled Africana Diaspora Diva. And this was presented to her when Poetry for Power for Puerto Rico honored her a few years ago. Africana Diaspora Diva. Querida Africana Diaspora Diva, daughter of la diaspora, hija de Yemaya, black mermaid of luchadores, seawater, seashells, salty tears, sea foam of black joy, and rhythm of everything that's black. Everything that is music of our motherland is you. Water, bearer of histories, is you. Of stories told is you. Some unwritten, some destined to remain secret, eyewitnessed by that fly sister, soul sister, our sister, the one with the way with words. A gifted eye, that sister. Sharp tongue, fierce spirit, that sister. Undeterred, unbound, vicious, if and when necessary, that sister. My definition of earthly heaven is an ordinary morning, drinking Puerto Rican coffee in my kitchen with you on the other end of my landline, hearing your voice clear as day, feeling you near me, the gift of your sisterhood and friendship, feeling less alone. One lesson from a former young lord and Black Panther: the greatest revolutionary strategy is the cultivation of bonds. That being an ally means having people's back. Down con la gente for the people of Puerto Rico, y Boricuas en la diaspora, the whole Caribbean. Beautiful hermana, you sparkle. Con your sashaying badass self, sweeter than sweet oil perfume. Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby, I like it like that. Ritmo of ancestral bangled bracelets, colorful head wraps, wee hours in the morning, writing fire, speaking truth, always telling truth, standing up. Yeah, that kind of standing up and speaking out. That sister, that fly sister, querida, africana, diaspora diva, daughter of la diaspora, daughter of Yemaya, and a long line of freedom fighters, lover of roses, of freedom and power, of hope, a freedom song for you, an echo to cut through this veil of walls. Barbed wire walls, tears, screams, waking dreams, still the freedom goddess sings.
Yamayawa smile.
Thank you.
Our daughter, a new ancestor.
Thank you. Yes. And she posted.
Have you published that anywhere? Has that been printed anywhere?
I haven't published it. I really should.
You know, we both overdue for getting a volume out. You know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you could do it together.
That would be good.
Awesome. Oh.
But I just wanted to say before I go, because I have to jump off, and then thank you so much for having me. That she posted about Puerto Rico and for Puerto Rico every day since Hurricane Maria, and that means, I mean, it's been 9 years. You know, this September will be 9 years since Hurricane Maria. And right now, you know, Puerto Rico is having a serious water crisis, and some people are saying that this has been the worst summer since Hurricane Maria. Yeah. For uncertain some parts of the island where people have not had running water for like 50 days, you know, 40 days, 30 days, a ridiculous amount of days, that it's, you know, it's summertime in the Caribbean and there's a drought and our people don't have water. And when you don't have running water, you don't even have water to flush the toilet, you know. So this is very serious. It's very serious. It is genocide. And, you know, just to echo what Espy was saying, that, you know, she was speaking about, we have to be raising our voices to stop all of the genocides, including the genocides that are happening here.
That's right.
So,
that's right.
You know,
and Mariposa, before you leave, as an artist, this is a hip hop political show. Who would you lift up that musically that inspires you? We often ask what hip hop artists, but what artist inspires you when you're writing poetry or doing the work that you have to do in the community?
This is our ritual question, to y'all. This is our ritual. Everybody gets this question.
Everybody gets this question in the context of hip hop or music overall, Black music.
Whatever sets you flow.
We ask it in as a hip hop question. Yeah, but if you don't listen to hip hop, tell us what music does inspire you. When you if you have to listen to something before you go do the work that you have to do.
Yes, no, I am an artist of the hip hop generation, and you know, lately I'm reading a lot of bell hooks right now. And thinking a lot about, right now I'm reading, this is the second time I'm reading the book, The Female Search for Love. And she's writing about, been thinking about loving and nurturing masculinity. And so anyway, Tupac is just a part of I just love Tupac. I think about Tupac and his music, and when I think about a young brother who was actually struggling to have an understanding of what bell hooks would call nurturing masculinity, I think that's what he was working through with his artistry, and you know, he wasn't perfect, and he was struggling through a lot of different things, but you know, he was just in my generation. I was born in 1971, like so was Tupac, and we lost him at, I mean, how old were we? 25 years old, you know. So I count him among the many of the people who didn't make it, who didn't get to see 30. And so yeah, so that in answer to the question, it's Tupac for me. Yeah, I was also revisiting Roxanne Shante the other day. I've been feeling very nostalgic and thinking about my childhood, and you know, me and my twin sister, we played not played, but we the game musical chairs, okay, to Rapper's Delight. We were So we must have been
Right,
like
babies when that was
five.
done.
We were babies. We were 5 years old, maybe. I think we were 5 years old. I remember being in the basement, being in different parties, not just my birthday party, but my cousin's birthday party. And, you know, and then there's that verse, you know, that I love. You know, have you ever been over a friend's house to eat and the food just ain't no good? The macaroni's are soggy, the peas are mush, and the chicken tastes
It
like
tastes like wood. We all know that. Well,
right. I've been feeling mad nostalgic lately because of my birthday's coming up next week. I'm gonna be 10. Okay, actually it's the 30th anniversary of my wait, bet out there, wait.
Get it together.
Yeah, wait, it's the 25th anniversary of my 30th birthday. 55, baby. 5 is 10. Is 10.
Double nickels, yeah.
Girl, I'm gonna be 10.
Oh,
So look, I would like to show something to you all that's very special that was given to me by Denise and her husband Nadir, because I was able to go and see her on Sunday.
Oh,
and
wow.
So this is a work of art. I don't know if you can see because there is a glare, but can you see that it's a woman and the medium that it's butterfly wings. It's butterfly wings of different butterflies.
Okay.
Yes.
And whose art that? Is that her art?
No. Okay, let me try to hold it away.
Okay.
That's
good. That's good.
So here, these wings fell because this is, you know, this is really kind of aged. But Nadir told me that her parents, they brought this on a trip. They were traveling throughout the continent. Perhaps Ghana. I have to do research, but they were in Africa and they purchased this, and it's deep. It's deep because it's like the butterfly. It's also a symbol of death, but it's transformation.
That's right.
It's transformation, and this artist gathered the remains of butterflies who lived their full life. They lived their whole lifespan. You know, somebody once said to me, "Oh, butterflies don't live long." I'm like, no, they live their full life. Okay, if their life cycle is 28 days, that's a full life for a butterfly. And so I just think that, you know, the fact that she had told Nadir that she wanted me to have this, to remember that we can create beauty, we can create art, you know, and sometimes
revolutionaries are about transformation.
It's about transformation, and you know, it's also about the ending of things and the new beginnings that come from that, and the hope that comes from that, and that you know, it's important for us to know her history, to study her, but not to romanticize, to focus on, you know, what's before us and the work. There's a lot of work that we've got to do. There's so much that we could talk about with her, about her work that is still needed today, you know, that is about serving the people, that is about addressing the healthcare disparities, that's about, you know, addressing the environmental racism and all of the attacks on our mental health, our physical health, and our spiritual well-being, that we got to be there for each other and help to take care of each other. But
and more importantly, Mariposa, was she trying to tell you that she lived too? She lived her life. She lived.
It's ironic that she passes the day before Sada's birthday. They're both 47 babies. They both 47. You can't make this up. Esperanza, what musically, what does you?
What music does me? A lot of resistance music from the 60s and the 70s, both in English and in Spanish. And then later, I love me some Sweet Honey in the Rocks, and Siam and Mariposa both know my son, who is
Milka.
yes, Amilcar, named for Amilcar Cabral, of course.
Yes, of course.
Who is a multimedia hip hop artist. And if people want to hear his circa 95, go to circa 95. I think it's .com or .org. I don't know. But he inspires me. The other thing is I get inspiration from the spoken word of Said and Mariposa.
Oh my God.
You know, Mariposa has a powerful poem, and I was saying this to her this I think it was this morning. I was saying that the poem is called Boomerang.
Yes.
And it was
dedicated to Fanan.
Yes, and the thing about it, just like Said, is in their very early writing, they were very dialectical historical materialists. They still are, but now they overthink things.
All right.
Y'all love getting spanked on live radio, right?
And as in Gramsci talks about organic intellectuals.
Yes, yes,
right?
yes.
And that both of you and many, not many, because some, I still can't deal with using the N word as positive. There's no way that slavery was positive, and the horrendous things that they did to us was positive. But the hip hop artists that use culture, as Cabral said, as a weapon. Mm-hmm. And those who are still doing that today. And it moves, touches, and inspires me. I just celebrated my 8th birthday. I'm younger than you. Anyway,
yeah.
So that I have seen many artists come and go. I have seen people use a revolution to fill out their pockets. And I've also seen those young people like Said, Mariposa, who are already old, holding up the red flag of revolutionary power. And the thing for us to keep in mind that no matter what, we are in victory, because as a child of the working class, as a brown child of the working, as an immigrant child of the working class, of a person who was in the streets, who was an alcoholic, because of the movement, I survived. And because of the movement, we've had the privilege of having Denise in this planet.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah,
so
that's right.
Estamos en victoria. Okay? And we have to stand in that until our last breath. We are bringing down the oppressors.
That's right.
The imperialists, the capitalists, the
Clock is ticking,
colonialists,
y'all.
the patriarchs.
That's right. The clock is
You
ticking
know,
on your behinds.
and there is a legacy, and there are many young people. Don't believe the hype that young people are not doing anything. You know, yesterday I was at a book launching this book. It's called Plant for the People, and it's young people who have developed farms, people of color. This is New York State. They grow herbs or they grow vegetables, and then they give them to the people for free.
Yeah.
So the legacy of the young lords of the Panthers is still alive.
Absolutely.
Is still alive. And as Mariposa said before, it's about us taking care of ourselves and taking care of each other and giving up all the capitalist bullshit that we have been given, right? Supposedly truth with our lies, right? So that's what inspires me. You inspire me. This program inspires me. And
That's
book,
good.
and
Inspire
people.
Book, it's also about Matulu. It's also about Walter Basque and acupuncture. It talks about my work in healing our community, and so look for it. And it's self-published, you know, and it's a beautiful picture of me in there somewhere.
Well, Ms. Esperanza, well, thank you for that. And I'm glad as we transition to our next segment, there are young people coming up behind you. So if they weren't inspired or if they didn't know, you see that they're putting up, okay. That I'm sure.
The revolutionary flag. That's right.
Yes.
The revolutionary flag. Actually, people should know that that's the flag of emancipation in Puerto Rico.
See.
And it was the enslaved Africans that stood up against Spain. And we were able to turn slavery around let me see if I remember the date, in
1868.
Yes, 68. Yes. So know that. Let me let you go. And thank
well,
you.
Josh and JP, she's passing the torch. Do you see that?
What?
I said to Josh and JP that you're passing the torch. You're giving them wisdom firsthand.
These young heads coming up. They're coming up. They taking every bit of notes they can.
I love you.
Love you and thank you.
I am on, and I appreciate you very, very much. And as I said before, la lucha continúa. And we are victorious.
We will win.
Yes, ma'am.
We will win. Standing on your shoulders, right? Love to you, Mom. Right?
Okay.
Oh my God. All right, y'all.
All right, Josh and JP. You got some shoes to fill there. You see that?
Denise Oliver's comrades. Y'all ready? Let me reintroduce you, JP. Good to have you back. Josh, this might be your first time with us, isn't it? Okay.
First time.
Okay, well, welcome aboard, son. Right. Tomorrow, y'all having a conversation about the often forgotten, but very seminal National Black Power Conference that took place between July 20th and July 23rd, on the heels and on the blood of that and ashes of the epic Newark Uprising in 1967. Of course, one of my favorite pictures of the Imam of Amiri is that press conference where he's got the bandages still fresh on his head after having his skull split by the police right on Springfield Avenue. Right, this ain't no abstract stuff, right? with right next to him, and it was just a powerful moment. I'm so proud of this group of young folks who are actually taking the time and look back at why that's important. And so, in anticipation of your conversation that you're hosting tomorrow, tell us, did y'all come right in, talk from the organizational framework, community movement builders, Black Alliance for Police, from Black Alliance for Peace, that's the police, my God. Shoot me in the goddamn head with that one.
Well, and JP and Josh, what year were you born? No, I'm just,
Oh, no, it's fine. I'll out myself as a late '80s baby.
Okay. And Josh?
97.
Wow. So 30 years later, and JP, let's say, okay, what's that? So wow. And so you're looking back, and I know you intro, but I want to start there. Like, what makes you interested in, what caused the 1967? What brought your interest into that?
Yeah, do you want to take it, Josh?
Yeah, I can go first. So we started CMB last year, April of 2025. And one of our key kind of things that we wanted to do is, like we said on our website, right, we seek to re-examine, revitalize, and extend Newark's rich history of Pan-African revolutionary organizing. So, like, kind of from our beginning, we wanted to start grounded in that, right? And so we kind of started just reviewing, kind of that time period, right, in the 60s when Amiria Baraka was here, all the various different revolutionary activities that was going along. And so that was my first kind of introduction to the Newark Black Power Conference and also the rebellion. And then, after kind of exploring that, like, definitely kind of just talking to folks that, haven't maybe heard that much about the Black Power Conference, right? So it definitely made it like as a necessity, right, to kind of bring it back up to explore it. And that's what we're kind of trying to do with this series specifically. To kind of, bring it back up, talk about like the conditions around it, but also explore one of the various different things that came out of it, which was the Black Power Manifesto, which is just like a kind of a collection of various different resolutions that came to during the Black Power.
So y'all got them already?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, because I was getting ready to send them to you. All right.
Yeah.
Somebody downloaded them for me on PDF. Right on.
Yeah, I mean, and if you come to our event, we'll give a little bit detail later, but we actually printed it out as well, so you can have your own kind of copy. But yeah, to kind of explore that, like, again, looking to the past to see kind of what happened then, and then think about what can we take from that now, and then also what can we extend upon that, like what can we change, right? Because they didn't get every single thing right, so like what, as we kind of moved forward in movement, kind of what can we kind of do moving forward. So I think it was very interesting to kind of explore initially as we were trying to ground specifically in Newark. And it feels like a good jumping off point, specifically now as well. But JP, feel free to jump in as well.
Yeah, and let me just say this to you. So I'm born in '67. I'm born 1967, and I can remember having like an aha moment, if you will. I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Talk to Me, and it talks about a radio host from DC and kind of covering different things that went on during that time period. And I remember saying, wow, that was a dynamic time. What would it be like to have been born during that time and being out in the streets? And now we're like, damn, we out in the streets now. You know what I'm saying? Because it seems like, and I guess that's why, are you kind of, and JP could pick it up, like everything that they were able to be angry about, fight for, and achieve. And as you just said, Josh, that they didn't get everything, but they got a lot. And to see so much of it being rolled back so fast, JP, does that kind of make you upset in any way, or thinking how is it undoing happening so fast when it took so long to achieve some things?
Yeah, I think it does make me upset, but I think a lot of where I come from is what did we do in response? What formed, how did our resistance take shape? and how do we organize? And I'm actually inspired by that, you know, and you know, I think, you know, we're living in the days where, you know, George Jackson's warnings about, you know, that fascism is always like at the door.
That's right.
And you know, and it might disguise itself, but one day, you know, it'll rear its ugly head, and I feel like we're at that moment. And but all that is to say that you know, that the work that folks were doing in the 60s and 70s and even into the 80s, I think, like to fight for, you know, freedom and for self-determination, that in the 67 National Black Power Conference is a very like is a pivotal moment in that struggle for self-determination, where you know, they brought over 1,000 people to Newark, you know, without Instagram and without email. I don't that's an inspiration in and of itself. Like when Black people want to get together and see the necessity and the urgency of getting together to fight for ourselves, we'll do it. And I think it's also important just to remind us as folks who were born 20 and 30 years after the Black Power Conference that we're not starting from zero. I think that's an important thing that like a lot of young folks need to learn, is that you don't start from zero. You didn't come up with these ideas, you know, just by yourself and reading a couple books, but like there's an actual, as you know, as Baba Zaid was saying earlier, that this is not abstract, that this doesn't just exist in the pages of a book, but we can go to the places where these things happen and learn and you know, have what we do now informed by that rich history. Yeah, so as I see it roll back, I'm also inspired by, you know, the folks that fought for these things in the first place, and now it's you know, time for us to accept the mission and not betray it, as phenomenal. So.
And quite honest, it was always young people, you know, kind of leading the way. You know, we often forget that. So when you're doing these different discussions, do you have elders in the room? And because oftentimes young people may say, you know, it's our time. Don't, you know, we sick of listening to you. We're not gonna, you know, whatever they may say. That may be, and I'll give at a NAN conference, at the National Action Network conference not too long ago, a young man stood up. What I can only imagine was in a room of elders and said, "If you don't give us our check for reparations, then we're not voting." And I was like, you're sitting here talking to people who made a way that you can walk into a voting booth. You know, some people die so that younger people can do that. So I guess when you are in the rooms and young people begin to give you their experiences, and I'm sure I'm singing to the choir when I talk to you two, but are you really, are you like appreciating that the words are coming off the paper and speaking directly to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think to the question of elders, like we've talked about this continuously, of like kind of continuing these intergenerational conversations. So actually last year, one of our very first events, we did do a specific kind of event around the rebellion, and then also a little bit around the Black Power Conference. And we had, you know, we had folks that were there, right? Like, so we had Brother Atno Smith, a part of the Black Panther Party. We also had Linda Carter as well, that kind of came through and just gave us wisdom, you know, specifically of like being on the ground there and what specifically went on. We had also a couple other folks in the room as well that were there. So definitely trying to like build with these conversations, because we heard after that event, right, like from some of the younger people there, like, you know, we need more of this, right? Like I love kind of just sitting there and listening and thinking about like, how do we want to apply what is being said? Right. So I think, you know, to your point about words jumping off the page, like, yeah, it definitely did. It kind of ignited something in terms of thinking like, okay, like how do we kind of push this forward? How do we go to action after kind of hearing these various different things?
Zaid and Ed, I'm sorry, I didn't want to take all the questions. I was just excited. Zaid, you're muted. Zaid, you're muted.
So why don't you guys tell us about the event, where it's going to take place at? You know, some of the people who are going to be involved, who's, you know, if you're going to have any guest speakers or anything like that. Where is it taking place and what time?
Yeah, so it's going to be at the Vailsburg branch of the Newark Public Library. So I think it's 75 Alexander Street. And it will be at noon. We do plan to have some food there for folks. It's gonna be, we want it to be more, we want to create like an environment where we can have like a conversation, like, and really hear from folks. You know, as Josh was saying, we do want the words to jump off the page, because one of the things that we don't want to run into is the trap of just sort of making it like a sort of intense book club where we just study the past for the sake of studying the past, but to really consider how it, how are young people, elders, folks in between, like thinking about these ideas, these struggles, the resolutions that are in the Black Power Manifesto. How are they thinking about them in terms of 2026? Like, and like the headline for this event on the flyer was, "Is Black Power necessary for Newark today?" And so that makes us ask a lot of questions. What is Black Power? What was Black Power then? What does Black Power look like in 2026? And so we really want it to be a more of a conversation to, maybe expose folks to some ideas or some people that they, may have not have encountered in history class or whatever. But really talk about, what's going on in Newark now, and what does this idea of Black Power, what does this conference, what did these resolutions have to say about it, and what can they inspire us to do today? Yeah.
Right on.
So let me ask you this. Well, first off, let me ask you, you guys said you have a flyer. So if you want, you can send that to Zaid. We'll post it on
Yeah, I haven't seen the flyer yet. Right on. Mm-hmm.
So if you want to send us the flyer, we'll post it on all of our social media. And you said it's going to take place at the Newark Library tomorrow at noon.
The Vailsburg.
Yeah, the Vailsburg.
The Westward Library, yes.
Oh, in the Westward. Okay. Mm-hmm. And let me ask you this. As you all know, folks are afraid to have a conversation, or even to use the term Black, as it were, or even, this whole concept of Black Power. I'm curious to know, because Malcolm gave a definition for what Black Power is. What do you two see as Black Power in 2026, particularly after you all have done some studying yourself and done some reading? What would you say your definition, not the definition of the people you've studied, but your definition of Black Power?
You want to go first, JP?
Yeah, sure, I can. I think it does. It does resonate with the older definitions that I have studied. I think it does boil down to self-determination for our people. I think for in 67, a lot of the aims of the conference were, I think it was sort of a prioritization of Black political power, and that was to like sort of have representation in the forms of government that we were, sort of brought into by virtue of being, Africans in the Americas, in the United States specifically. For me, I think I would say that and this wasn't by any means like not addressed in the Black Power Conference, but I would say that I would like to see more in terms of economic, social, aesthetic, like art kind of things that represent not just a few successful Black excellent kind of people, not that we all aren't excellent, but that represent the masses of our people, that the masses of our people have not only the things to survive, but the ability to make decisions about what happens in their city, on their block, in a real way, in a way that is not that is not so constrained and so constricted by by capitalism, by large corporations that do so much, and give us a little bit on the side and say, play nice, but don't allow us to actually be part of the process, the democratic process of like determining what happens in our hoods. But yeah, that's what I would say Black power means to me. I think that Josh has a much better definition.
Nah, I mean, I think, yeah, I mean, I think that's exactly it, right? Like it's like Black power equals self-determination to me. It's really like the power to determine your own destiny, right? Like as we kind of know now, right? Like everything is really predetermined for us. We're very highly propagandized to kind of go towards specific decisions. We're very restricted in kind of what we can actually do, right? Like they say like go out to vote, but like your pool of candidates are really condensed to who they kind of decide that they want to put towards you, right? You can't really determine like how your city specifically is structured around food, around these various different things, right? So like really being able to determine that destiny, and then once we're able to do that, then I think we've achieved some level of Black power. And I think that's what again like kind of highlights the event specifically in terms of thinking through more about how can we make that true, right? Like, what are the things that we want to build towards? And I think that's what they were doing with the resolutions, and things to create structures and things to develop so that we can kind of get there. So yeah.
So some level of Black power. What when you say some level, are we talking political power? Are we talking economic power? What power? What kind of level of power are we talking?
I mean, I think it's to what JP was saying. It's all of those various different things, right? Like we need like all of them to be able to determine our own destinies, right? Currently right now, right, there are ways that they kind of direct our culture. There are ways that they direct in terms of economically what we're doing. There are ways that they determine the way that our political power kind of is functioning, right? So like we need to have power on all of these fronts and build towards that in order to move forward and to again determine our own destinies.
So if we talk about, let's just say political power. One of the issues that is long standing in the Black community is that we've had political sellouts. You know what that is?
Yeah, the Black misleadership for sure.
Right. So we're talking about Black people who come before us, get elected, and then once they become our leaders, they begin to do other than what the people put them in office to do. Right. So we call them political sellouts, but more to the point, Black political sellouts. And so if we're talking about Black political power, Malcolm defined it more so as Black people who would work on behalf of Black people, right? So if we put Black people in positions of power, those people ought to be working on our behalf first, right? And then everybody else second. But the problem is when we talk about young people are not engaged politically. And why do you think that is? Either one of you can answer that.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that part of the answer is what you just said, of just a legacy, or not a legacy, but like a pattern of Black political leadership, selling out, of trying to manage the deep crises of capitalism, and trying to do the best they can to manage the crumbs that we're given. And I think that there's a lot of just a sort of disillusionment around due to that. I think another thing too is just a sort of a cultural force that we're dealing with is the individualization of young folks and the atomization of young folks. Like we are all our own little person with our device, with our own algorithm who gets our own little stuff, and we've lost some of the skills and some of we've lost some of the muscle of what it means to be in collective process to determine things, what it means to be in a democratic process, to say, hey, how are we going to actually come to this decision? And in order for us to have Black political power, or Black power, I would say, amongst the masses, so that we can have mechanisms to hold Black political leadership accountable, I think we're gonna have to develop some of those skills. I don't think it's just gonna come just because we just call people sellouts and then go back and I was about to say what next stadium. Yeah, I'll
That's important to say, because that's, and in the land of social media, you got young heads who think that's all you got to do is like and share, and then you're gonna get free. That's bullshit.
And JP and Josh, let me ask you, is there, I know last time JP you were on and you had the conversation around what's going on with ICE. Is it our problem? Is it the problem for Blacks in Newark? When it comes to the question, because Josh, I think you said a little bit about sometimes they kind of put candidates around before us and they might not be whatever, but are you doing anything around voting and preparing candidates and kind of putting up your own or preparing for your own candidates to be put up in these different seats, especially at local government? Because as this show states, all politics are local. So like for instance, one area for Newark is all over Jersey that in the school board you can have 16-year-olds vote right now. So I would love to see when they open those doors up, and most school board elections are held in November now. So when they open those doors, that it's flooded with young people, and that young people are going to come in and fill those seats, and they're going to have a whole campaign. And you start at that young age, and it should really be starting at student government and stuff. So is there an arm of this where you're doing preparing candidates and preparing to fill all levels of government, from you, as Jesse used to say, from the outhouse to the White House?
Yeah, I mean, so I not like specifically right now, right? Like we don't have a specific structure for it, but it is something that we have talked about a little bit.
Okay.
When thinking about just even the recent kind of election that we saw, right, and the results, and the kind of like lack of people that came out, right, to actually vote. So I think one thing that I'm kind of thinking about, right, is like it's important to also build a base kind of where that comes from, right? Like, so building together to us to decide, okay, what are the specific policies that we want to put on together, right? So, and I think that's what we're trying to kind of build now, right? Like, where is our specific base? How can we bring community together to discuss these various different things so that we can create, right, like a Black Power manifesto with our specific resolutions, with our specific policies that we want to put forward, and we can push someone that is built from that, right? Built from that kind of just building together, and that can be kind of held accountable, right? That is accountable to us specifically. So I think we don't have anything specifically now, but I think all of this work is towards, building a base and building structures that I think can help us to get to something like that.
All right. So I just hope that I want to say the term of the urgency of now and what's before us. So while time may be on your side, it's not on it's not as a community on all of our sides. So I hope, my ask is that as every election that that you see, I will ask you to look at Essex County votes around 30%. So if we bring if you double that number, it would make such an impact, So, think of some goals where you can say the people in our room are voters, and whether, and you look at things that in these small races, you can almost, when people are voting at 30%, you can do a campaign for a write-in candidate, and you can possibly win just because the numbers are often not as big as they need to be. So, so I hope that one of the goals is that everybody that comes into your room, that they leave as a registered voter and that they're voting in elections, because that is something that our ancestors, and as I said when I was asking you the questions, that people died so that we can walk into voting booths and just vote and not get hit upside the head, as I gave you the illustration of Amiri Baraka, that when he was out in the streets, he got hit upside his head, for fighting so that we can have some simplicity in the things that we're doing today.
What I would add to what Donna said is that, I think you've got to be an educated voter, though, right? So you don't want to just be somebody who votes in the dark. And I think that I commend you guys on even saying the word Black Power, because Kwame Ture took a lot of heat in the '60s when, I don't know if you read that book, but he took a lot of heat back in the '60s when he first used that term, Black political power, and Dr. King thought that was going to derail the entire civil rights movement. And so he was afraid of just that term. And so I commend you, young brothers, on even being willing to say Black Power. But I think that I would encourage you to continue to do the research, but I would also encourage you to study what all of that really means to Black people, right? Because it means something totally different to us than it does to people who say white power. I think to those of us who say Black power, it denotes a tremendous amount of struggle, but it also denotes a tremendous amount of, we ain't gonna accept the bullshit we accepted before, because the people who died on the front line of Black power and who got involved in electoral politics, what we saw is that the people that we thought were riding with us for Black power weren't really riding with us at all. They were riding for themselves. And so as you guys lift up that flag, keep your eyes open, right? Because there are people who would want to ride with that, and they really ain't about our people at all, right? But we need to be on that. And I say that as the president and board chair of the National Black Political Convention, right? So I would say that to you guys, and if I can make it, I'll try to get out to support you guys tomorrow, and may even bring a camera and shoot some of that live for that little known network, the National Black Political Convention Network, and maybe shoot a little bit of what you guys are doing tomorrow, and see if we can give y'all some national attention just for saying Black Power.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'll just say, because I actually do have to leave in a little bit.
Oh, we're over. We all leaving. Go ahead. It's 9:04. If Jonathan was here, we would be clear.
But I do want to also emphasize that it's a series as well, right? So this is our starting point, specifically around just kind of more of an introductory conversational, just kind of seeing where people are at, right? What is, your point, Black Power means a lot to people. So we want to really ask that question, what does Black Power mean to you? But we want to extend this, and this will continue to be a series. We already have a couple dates booked out, specifically at the same place in August, also in September, to kind of continue the conversation. And what we want to do is review the Black Power Manifesto, through that. So, right, after this first one, like the homework, I guess, will be like read the first 5 pages, and we'll come back, we'll discuss, and then we'll kind of keep going in that way, right? To have these kind of discussions again. What can we pull forward that helps us? What should we change, right? And I mean, ultimately, it will be what our future goal would be. Can we create our own Black Power manifesto, right? Like, what is the 2027 Black Power manifesto? What it should look like, right? So, just wanted to emphasize that point before I leave. Of like, even for folks that are watching, even if you can't make it tomorrow, we will continue to have this series. So, definitely tap in with us at some point.
Well, Josh and JP, well, we're getting ready to sign off. And I just want to say 2 things. If you ever had the opportunity to watch Fannie Lou Hamer do that, her testimony, and she said, only thing I wanted to do was vote. Never forget that testimony was done right here in the state of New Jersey. And
Atlantic City.
Atlantic City, New Jersey, yes. And as the last guest here on the show, I want to know, what are you listening to? Is there a hip hop artist, individual group that you're listening to that keeps you inspired? And when you give us this song, also remind people where they need to be tomorrow at 12 noon.
Yeah, you want to go first?
Yeah, I can go first. I'm gonna cheat just because I was on last time, and and yeah, I'm gonna expand it a little bit, and in the spirit of the previous guests. I was recently in Puerto Rico, and we went to a place where some pleneros were playing, and they played this one beautiful song about this one Puerto Rican nationalist in the 50s named Blanca Canales.
Blanca was bad.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Loved her rifle.
Yeah, she definitely did.
Hell yeah, that uprising in the 50s. Hell yeah, Blanca was no joke.
No joke. And and so the song, the rhythm of the song was, I'm gonna do, like, there was a list of things that the person said they were gonna do, but it was with the strength of Blanca Canales, and so like that has stuck with me over the past couple weeks. So that's been inspiring me.
And so again, Donna said, "Tell them where this event is." Oh, I'm sorry, you got to go, my brother. Sorry about that.
Yeah, and I'll repeat like where it's at and everything. I think a song that has really been inspiring me lately is Dead Prez. I'm an African. I think I saw something in the comments. Someone said it's domestic and international. I mean, I think that's an important comment to kind of uplift from that standpoint, right? Like we are African, right? We are connected to that. We have to remember that there's a long lineage of that. And so that kind of inspires me every day to kind of continue to understand that and to kind of continue to advocate, for us here locally, right? But like also nationally and then also internationally as well. And again, just to remind folks, so we'll be tomorrow at Vailsburg Branch Park, 75 Alexander Street, 12 to 2. Come through. We'll talk a little bit about Black Power. We'll have some food, and it'll be a good time.
Okay, and I could even see you looking a little bit like Dead Prez. Okay, I can see that. All right.
Uprising.
Hey, Zaid,
that's what Blanca led. The Yuga Uprising.
Oh yeah.
Did you guys send the flyer to Zaid?
Yeah, I just sent it to you.
All right.
We're posted, and so we wish you brothers good luck. And I'm sure Zaid already told you guys. This is the community drum. Anytime you guys want to come back, have a conversation, please feel free to do that. And and we wishing you guys a strong Black power, a strong Black hand for tomorrow.
And Josh and JP, like you had the one about the conversation about the community and Delaney Hall. If there's something that sticks out in these sessions that you really want to bring, please let us know. Say, hey, hit Zaid up and say, hey, this happened and we want to talk about it so that we can let the community know. So yes, definitely use this as a drum. Okay.
We'll definitely be back because there's a lot to share from that conversation.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Thank you so much.
All right, Sean.
Yeah. So great, Zaid. Wish them young brothers a lot of luck. good to see them being willing to even say Black Power.
Well, they're studied. They're well studied. They come out of you heard them use the misleadership class language, right? That's Clinton Ford, that's the Black Panther Party, right? They've got the Black Alliance of Peace. They didn't talk about their organizations, but they come from a very studied background.
Generations, that's what's up.
When they send you the flyers, I send it to me, and I'll post it on the Facebook page. I'll post it on the IG page.
I don't know why he sent it to me.
Spread the word,
And I'm sorry I missed the top of the hour. We was talking about what's going on in the news, but I get in a couple of weeks, as we get closer to election, we just have to hit the drum to make sure people are overwhelming, and as they seek to confuse people and discourage people from voting, we do what we do best and get people to the polls.
Yeah, because Donald Trump did, I don't know, was it 20, 30 minutes yesterday by trying to stir up the level of confusion around voting. Zai and I talked a little bit about that at the beginning. And everyone seems to agree that he's setting the stage for some level of high level political corruption that he and as Zai call them, perhaps them brown shirts again, right? We don't know what they up to, but they want to. I think they want to do everything they can to stop folks from getting to the polls this coming November. So,
and let us not be, and we know what they're capable. We've seen what they did on January 6th, so we know what they're capable of. And I also want to say there has, while we know that the media is not given a true journalism as we might once said, years, what we came up on in terms of the news. But one thing we do know is that ABC and NBC chose not to broadcast it live.
Yeah.
So that says something too.
It's another crack in his armor.
That says something too.
I think that's important, right? Because what it seems like is some people are learning that you need to fact check this guy first.
Yeah.
Because
they let him slide on his lack of facts.
Huh?
They've let him slide on his lack of facts.
Yeah. And I think to some extent that they're seeing how, in the past they have been helpful in allowing him to get that out. And so of course he cried fouls, like they don't want us to, by them not showing is keeping, information from people, but to some point all information is, I think they knew exactly, was something that we need to pay attention to.
I think what's happening now is that we've had almost 6 years of Donald Trump. And I think that after 6 years, I think we're starting to learn that almost 99% of what he says is an absolute lie.
Absolutely, yes.
I think that we're becoming aware of that, and I think that what people who can control to some extent media understand that he would use whatever political power that he has to go after anybody that would begin to investigate, not only his lies, but investigate what he calls the truth.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think what we should do is just end the show because I know that we're almost.
Yeah, and Zai, and say thank you to all the guests. The wisdom of Esperanza.
Incredible.
Esperanza is serious. Esperanza is one of the best organizers that has touched my life. I'm telling you, I'm making it plain. She's really gotten a lot done, and it really demonstrated how to be an organizer in a very full, organic way, like she was talking about. So we got Josh and JP from Community Movement Builders, Esperanza, Martell, and Mariposa Fernandez. Mariposa means butterfly. She was like our butterfly. She was one of our babies in the New York scene coming up, and I'm very proud of her. Of course, our sisters from what is now the Heritage company. Everybody knows Masani and Patrice from Source of Knowledge, and Chanel, their CEO, and Mimi, and Amanata, right? I'm very proud of those sisters and the steps that they took forward. And Truby came in to give us some to remind us of the anniversary of the NABC coming forward.
And also, let's don't forget to thank True V.
I just said that. Yeah, I just said that.
Yeah. Okay.
Again, we thank everybody for coming through, and of course, the mayor wasn't able to come through tonight to do the mayor's forum, but nonetheless, I know he would want to give the peace out to everybody. So we say peace on behalf of our mayor, and I want to thank Brother Zaid and thank Donna for coming through to co-host, and I know John chimed in as well, and thank Bashir for sending True V through to talk about the anniversary of the NAVC, and that's going to be Wednesday this week, right?
Yeah, the 20th. This all started July 20th back in 2009 when that sister got. It was a horrible scene. That sister got killed. Lakeisha Allen, she got killed.
Yep. So again, we thank everybody for chiming in. We thank
and Shay, we'll come back with a summer book list, but I just wanted on Saturday of last week, we lost, and probably everybody's seen on the news, we lost a grandmother and an 8-year-old to a tragic fire in Orange. So we just want to continue to lift up their families.
Yep. So we thank everybody for chiming in. We thank everybody who participated. We thank all the guests, and we thank our hosts. So as my brother Zaid will say, we thank y'all. We'll see y'all next week on All Politics Are Local, and we'll catch you on Where's Zai?
Yeah, on the side of shoulders, because yesterday was her birthday. We'll see you in the whirlwind.
Catch you in the whirlwind.
And you don't stop.